84, his family said in a statement. He became one of the most powerful U.S. vice presidents in history under Bush and leaves behind a controversial legacy as a key architect of the war on terror and an early advocate of the 2003 invasion of Iraq. History will remember him as among the finest public servants of his generation, Bush said in a statement. He added that Cheney was a patriot who brought integrity, high intelligence, and seriousness of purpose to every position he held. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't, let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting, people went there, sat, listened, looked at him, there was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis. Yeah. Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself.
But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around. Yeah, why? Tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
He himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament, so...
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said...
The government.
Yeah, when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo, ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So and we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had,
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Where? Do you know what? Do you know? Did they tell you? Let me tell you.
Tell me.
Wacha nikwambie, today is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Ama?
Wednesday.
Sindio?
It is Wednesday.
Tusikii bwana.
Ni Wednesday, November 5th.
Hivyo ndio nilikuwa nataka kuambia ni Wednesday. Did you guys...
kwa Kiswahili.
Leo ni Wednesday.
Swahili. What is Monday in Swahili?
Landi. Oh, that's French. Sorry.
Monday.
Ooh.
French. In Swahili, Monday.
Okay.
Sundays.
Ladi. Oh, that's Hausa. Sunday is... Oh, I know this.
Saturday.
Juma is Friday.
Ijuma is Friday.
Ijuma is Friday. I know that because Hausa also Juma is Friday, and somebody who was born on Friday is called Jumai or Juma in Hausa.
So Saturday, Sunday starts with Juma.
Jumapili sijui
Jumapili is Sunday.
Jumapili is Sunday. Juma moja.
Hakuna Juma moja.
Jumamosi is Saturday.
Jumamosi. That's what in my head it was Mosi. My mouth said moja. If you stop laughing, we are not going to move if we
So let's teach you.
Okay.
Then Monday.
Jumamosi Saturday, Jumapili Sunday, Jumatatu is Monday.
Tuesday.
Jumanne. Then
Wednesday.
Jumatano. Alhamisi. It's Thursday. It's because of Hausa. It's because I speak Hausa and the languages are very similar.
So in
the
Hausa,
Arabic root.
Thursday is Alhamisi.
Ilhimisi is on Thursday in Hausa. Then Friday is Juma in Hausa.
Okay. So today in Swahili is?
What did you say today is Thursday? Wednesday. Jumatano. Jumanne. Good Lord. Wait.
You just did it a few moments ago.
Jumatano.
Yes.
But why are you looking at me?
Okay,
I'm
today,
doubting myself.
Today in Swahili is what?
Jumatano.
No. Now Leo.
Leo. See, it's today.
Tomorrow.
Kesho.
The day after tomorrow.
Kesho kutwa.
The day after tomorrow.
Mtondo.
Mtondo
Go.
Mtondo is like 3 days in advance. Okay.
4 days is Mtondo Go. 5 days?
Kitondo.
6 days?
There's a phrase for 6 days after. Jeez, man. Every day you learn something new.
Yeah.
Kesho kutwa, then the day before yesterday is?
Jana. Huh? Juicy.
Yes, Juicy is day before yesterday. Okay. Sawa. See, we learn something new every day. And we move. Sindio, have you guys seen Zuli?
Yeah.
Zuli is over there in Radio Maisha doing the business this morning. And of course, we say everybody good morning and getting into it today. Dennis and Dennis. So good morning, Zuli. And good morning, Frank. And good morning, everybody at Radio Maisha. And good morning, everybody here at SpiceFM. And of course, KTN. And everybody right here getting into the business today. Karibuni sana. Karibuni nyote. Not sote. At least that one I've learned. It took me a while, but I finally got there.
Got it, huh?
Yeah. How are you, Dennis and Dennis?
Good. Personally, I'm good.
Dennis good.
Dennis good? I'm happy to see you. I'm genuinely happy to see you guys today. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
We'll see you two in green. And you're productive today.
Sindo? It's fresh.
What shade of green is that?
Olive.
Okay.
Okari, umesikia?
Sawa. What black is this? Charcoal.
Charcoal black.
I've upped my game now.
Yeah. Well, very
you have to
proud
add the
of
color and something.
Respect.
This is sky blue.
Yeah, that is very good. Very good.
That's sky blue.
It's actually sky blue, yes, it is.
I'm learning.
You're done. I'm very proud of you.
What
What color
else?
is Eve wearing?
Eve stand.
She is standing.
Well, she's wearing many things.
Sorry. Well, it's not with Aseto. She is standing.
She's behind.
Hey. What color is that?
That's orange, no?
Are you kidding?
She's wearing very many things.
Okay, the one on top.
That's red.
Thanks. Come on, guys. You're following my hand.
Lipstick red.
Lipstick red.
Wow. Yeah.
You come to
For
Nigeria.
those who don't know, EVE is what? 4'7". Is it 4'7"? No, I'm just asking.
Please don't say foot. Say 4 feet. Just so there is plural in
4
it.
feet.
Stop not laughing. I'm not laughing.
EVE, don't worry. When you get 70,
You know, there's a book.
you'll be walking up straight. Very well.
I see, for those who don't know if he is,
So you look at the future. There is.
you're coming.
No, I see you in your future.
Yeah.
When you're 70, walking upright, no walking stick, nothing.
Nothing but love, EVE. Hey, okay. So now that we have established that everybody is here in the flesh, got a spring in your step, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. It's the 5th of October. And when October... Hey, it's the 5th of November. You see? November's not taking any prisoners, and we're getting this thing moving real quick. And that means that we've got 25 plus 31. There are 56 days left in the year. And even as we do that, we're hurtling towards many conversations coming to a head. This is the Situation Room at 22 minutes past 6 o'clock. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Let me tell you what we'll be talking about today as we get into it proper. All right. We will have a conversation with David Olesankok. You know him? He is the Yala Member of Parliament. The Yala, of course, is the East African Legislative Assembly. And we have an eye on Tanzania impact on regional relations. That conversation is still hot. And people with their lamentations are still rolling in heavy. We're looking into it. We'll talk about it with the Member of Parliament. And remember that he was a big... what is the word? Proponent of integration of the region. What do the latest happenings in Tanzania then portend for the region? We'll be talking about that with Olesankok at 7 a.m. Joyce Osogo, you know who that is? Otherwise known as Bensouda, is the Homer Bay Women Rep. She'll join us at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking about ODM's move. Yesterday, again, people got their knickers in a bunch because somebody said something and they didn't want. Others let down their candidate for the November by-elections, and people now started whispering, shouting, talking. Okay, fine. What's going on? Tell us exactly what's happening. And then finally, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green is an environmentalist. He'll join us at 9 o'clock. A logging ban has been lifted. Remember when we said nobody should cut trees? You find me cutting trees, we fine you, throw you in jail. All right, that's great. Then the president recently came out and said, you know what? Logging ban, lift it. No problem. You want to log in a controlled area, in a controlled time and space, we can actually make it and let that happen. Is this a threat to the environment? That is a conversation. Whether you like it or not, it is extremely important. If Kenya's trying to achieve 10% forest cover for the last 7, 8, 9 years, where are we going in terms of this
How many trees have you planted so far?
Mimi, I told you I plant 2 trees a month.
No, the country. Like
in Kenya.
The initiative.
The 15 billion trees in 10 years.
Yeah.
Sijui, Baba.
And you see now the conversation has moved from just planting to growing. So how many have we actually grown? Of all the millions or billions of trees that we've planted so far, how many have survived?
Mr. Kalua, maybe he's aware of this information, but this moment, I don't know. But we shall see, because he'll come and talk to us at 9 o'clock. So that's what it looks like today. We are going to Tanzania. We're going to come back to ODM, and then we'll go to the forest. Yes, that's where we are going. Yep. All right, you took us to Mauritania.
Mauritania,
yes, sir.
So, an Islamic country, and we talk about the Sunni. And the society is a mix of Arab Berber and sub-Saharan African groups such as the Halpula, Soninke, and the Wolof people. Wolof also are Nigerian, Ghana? Senegalese, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's that as well. And the traditional nomadic culture remains important, though urbanization has increased rapidly. One would say that is the story of the day across the continent. Seems as if the traditional groups, one would talk about the cultures that do exist, are slowly being eroded by urbanization. But today, the proverb, the desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path.
Wow. I guess there's no manual really when you're traversing, even though many have walked it. Okay, if you start thinking about the desert and the way the sands are, that you can walk a path and seconds later it's been covered, wind, sand, whatever, and you would not be able to tell. And I heard like the Berbers, interestingly enough, they usually are not able to tell the direction like a caravan went through, because you usually be able to tell from footprints of camel and things like that. But in the desert, very difficult, especially when the winds are blowing. So you can't tell which direction somebody went in by footprints. So many have crossed the path, but you have to chart your own, and you have to work towards making sure you do find one that will lead you to a particular destination. So you can't say, well, because Dennis walked, or I can't say because Dennis walked this path, or he told me he walked it, then I tried to find the one he used for myself. You have to take the steps and form your own. I guess.
Have you ever been in a desert? Which one? There's Chalbi. Yes. I actually want to go there one of these fine days.
Don't go to Dubs, just go to Chalbi.
I've done Dubs many times, but Chalbi, yes, and go to Suguta Valley as well. I mean, there's something about just looking at endless wilderness and endless sand. For me, I think it just speaks on just resilience and survival. The idea that you have to keep moving, you have to keep pushing, you have to keep growing, you have to keep being determined to do what you want to do, despite the fact that all around you there is nothing. You imagine in a desert situation, there is no tree to cover yourself from the hot sun. And then late in the evening, it's again cold, so you have no place again to hide, no cave to hide from the cold. So it just speaks on how you adapt, you persevere, and you push on regardless, despite the uncertainties and all that. And sometimes it's all about faith, you know. It's just taking that each day you take a step of faith, because waking up again, nobody's ever guaranteed that you're going to open your eyes and wake up in the morning. But still, we plan that, so kesho, tukutane lunchtime. Or we just know, tomorrow, we're coming for the show. But when you go to sleep, you are not even aware, you know. So I think it's just being very resilient and survive despite not having anything to cover you, to shelter you, to protect you and whatnot.
I look at it as the world being the desert, you know, such vast place to be in, and that there are many things you can do. So people will give you advice, people write books on what is their own version of success, right? But there is also the other side where you get to find out what success means to you, and a path that you follow does not necessarily have to be Okari's path. And that will lead me to that point of success. So the world for me is the desert, and we have to come up with different paths for us to end up where we want to be. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Soap is not enough. Try Pure Active.
Technology nataka kusalimia watu. All right, getting into it this morning and saying hello to everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook and on X. And we know folks listening around the country on terrestrial radio, through the region, and indeed through the world. Just interesting that we have people from all corners of the globe tuning in, and as we get into these conversations necessary for us to do. Our audience on KTN, good morning and karibu sana. Desmond Otis says, good morning. We can see you in the middle of things. Karibu sana. Kila mtu saseni. It's Evelyn, EVE. And nyinyi lazima tapewa 50% stake ya ng'ombe. Ya ng'ombe ya nani? All right. Peter Kiare says, good morning from Mombasa. You're blessed. Don't let the tough moments in life pull you away from that truth. Amina. Sir George Gashoiri is tuned in this morning and says, new day, new chapter. Nixon Hamisi says, good morning. Tuned in. Rose Grace is tuned in from Manera. Good morning, Spice team. Muko salama kabisa, Grace. Thank you so much, Everyday Rose, for being here. Robert Mbogo says, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Kisa Daniel is tuned in from Atiak in Uganda. Africa hakuna haki. All right. Robert Mbogo, we see you. Good morning. Agola, salut à toi. Ça va? Hope everything is well with you, and welcome to Wednesday. Tips Mungai says, good morning. Greetings this morning. Zohran Mamdani is in. All right. Pan-African Kenyan tuning from Nairobi. Dr. Venvik is in Mombasa this morning, Tudor specifically, and says good morning. Erica War is tuned in as well. Jimmy Munothi says good morning, watching and waiting, happy to be here. Hey, you guys, I didn't tell you. Yesterday I spoke to Dr. Okoh. She said I should greet you guys, actually.
Greetings we have received.
Yeah, she said greet them. Tell them, I'm there with them. So I said I must specifically tell you. Carrying on, even all of you guys, my mother has greeted you. Sawa. Have you received EVE? Thanks. Tell her as well. Jimmy Monothi is tuned in this morning, watching and waiting, happy to be here. Jennifer Atenyi says, good morning, Spice. Family, Kikuyu Road, we are tuned in. Ezil Nzomo says, good morning. I wish you a very nice day. All that is happening around Okari and Deno is a prophecy being fulfilled, and the end of the world is near. Oh, okay. You know, the world was supposed to end like on 17th of August this year. How many people went and left us?
No.
Oh, okay. It didn't end.
There's this big word. Procrastination.
Okay. So
push forward.
Depends who said the world is coming to an end.
Some prophet guy. 17th of August.
Our self-proclaimed, huh?
Yeah. Those ones who hear from God direct.
To me.
But sasa bado tunangoja.
We'll go deeper.
David Mangera says, good morning, tuned in. Isakale, good morning. With all the wrongs that are happening, I'm glad I'm in the right place in the situation room. Right on the money, my brother. Juma Moja. I didn't know what to say. You know, my mind works in sequences. So if you tell me Juma Pili is one, then I'm assuming that there's a Juma Moja. No? That's the mind of a genius.
Can I just ask, if Saturday is Juma Mosi, does it mean the day starts on Saturday?
Many people would argue that the week begins
Saturday.
Yeah, look, this guy called Gregory, this guy who formed the weeks and the calendar, that guy confused us for life. The Gregorian guy. Alex Kiprop says, good morning, tune in from El Damaravine. Tunamalizia kukama ng'ombe maziwa iende dairy. Kukama. What's the difference between kukama and kukamua? Ringing is kamua, ringing like this, but kukama is to milk the cow.
Ada, yes.
Oh,
kukama.
Sindio?
That's not kukamua.
You don't kamua ng'ombe?
It's not kama ng'ombe.
Huh? Okay.
Even you you're learning things today. All right. Nyakundi Emmanuel says good morning. The sister says good morning to everybody. Team Spice, be blessed, and it's my birthday. Nyakundi, there's always ever time for a song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nyakundi. Happy birthday to you. May God bless you in all that you do, and may the road rise to meet you all the time.
Nyakundi, God be with you.
Sarah Kilonzo, good morning. My name is not
butchered.
Why? I think this is probably the worst I've ever seen. But okay. My name is Ndu. It starts with an N. You just wanted my name to start with D by force.
Let everybody call you what they want.
At this rate, call me whatever you want. You know, do, da. It's okay. My nickname amongst my siblings is Noodles. And this becomes my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Ellis, couldn't pronounce my name at all. So you can imagine, Black American teacher, and she's wondering, what is this? So Nandoodles? So I went home that day, I told my brothers and sisters, this is what this woman called me, and it stuck. So Izakale is shocked that EVE is 4 feet. Okari, stop. I'm telling you, you need to see her. She's a fireball of energy. The sisters, share with us what you swallowed this morning. I love the vibes and happiness. Quite encouraging. What did you swallow? Where? What did you swallow? No. What did you swallow?
Siwalo.
Siwalo, Mimi. What did you do?
Coffee.
Oh, it's coffee. You are the only one who knows that.
Yeah. No, I can open.
And Derek says, good morning. Tuned in from Nax. Tuombe Tanzania mama Wakambo Hanania Nzuri.
Hey.
Huh?
Repeat that again.
Should I? Now I'm even scared because I don't know if it's kosher. It's watershed, man. I don't know. Let me just leave it there.
I said Mama Wakambo.
Mama Wakambo's stepmom does not have good intentions.
Oh, okay, sawa. Cecilia Ngwenyi says, good morning. Happy Wednesday to Jenge Taifa. Let's get it. Let's do it. Kabisa. Pan-African says, jollof rice came from the wall of people of Senegal. You are absolutely right. Yes, it did. Cole Kipkano says, bonjour Ndu and Double D. Tuned in from cold Montreal. Freezing cold in this part of the world. I can imagine Canada is the one who invented this syllabus. Antonina Kehika, Ndu, you had promised us to compile Nancy's report of misappropriation and what the same would do for the economy. Were you here on Monday? That's exactly what we did, Antonina. Mutuflani, the morning, I'm armed with a flask of changa and special cookies. Ateke. From my neighbor, just in case. Where are you, Mutuflani? Changa angoa. Kin says, good morning. Tuned in, Kenyans. Listening in from Matuga in Kwale's Wenzel, Dashington. Mutuflani, is you now asking each other if you should carry cup? Agutu Agembo says, good morning, everybody. Tuned in. Stephen Muendi, good morning. Patience during hard times. Tuned in from Udheru. Hage Shav says, good morning. Tuned in from Nairobi. Kenyans tuned in as well from Nakuru. A very good morning to you, D and Ndu. This is Angela Githieki. Good morning, my fellow Spicers. No matter what life throws at us, let us purpose to find joy and give joy to others. Have a lovely day. And what a lovely message, Angela. Thank you so much. Pan-African says, sad that Tundu Lissu was thrown in prison for no good reason. Suluhu will have still won the election. Well. Mary Ndolo says, good morning, people. I love listening to you. Tuning in from Ongata Rongai. Thank you so much. Good morning. Gokama is Kikuyu for kukamua, rinsing clothes or milking a cow. So the same thing can happen, Fiery Red. You can milk a cow or you can rinse clothes. Or squeeze the water out of the clothes. Sawa. Karaja J is tuned in from Nanyuki. This Nanyuki, we must go. My prince says, good morning. Our president is in Qatar. Yeah, he is. He told the world that you're well loaded with hustlers' money. Washo Gatoto says, good morning. Aseto has lied. It's Kamua Ngombe. Nakama is Kikuyu. Oi, he didn't lie.
Swahili and Kikuyu got married.
Got married and had a baby.
Called Kamua.
Sheesh. Bwangi Juma tuned in. SpiceFM Mukoje Tukusalama. House of Ngoge is saying, wonderful job, Team Spice. Thank you so much. You're tuning from Cape Town, another lovely city. Pamedia, you're late in the game, my friend. Keep up. Abed Abdallah says, good morning, great day ahead. Team Midigo, the Muslim week starts on Saturday, hence Juma Mosi. Mosi means one. So I was not wrong. Yeah. You see? So literally, Juma Mosi means day one. So Juma Pili means day two. But so Juma, I was not too far off. Thanks, Tom Midigo. Michael Ochieng says, good morning. No signal in Nakuru Bado. Well, it's a sour. Arthur Owino says, good morning. Tuned in from Imara. Jackson Amoy says, this is a tall boy. I love how people announce themselves from Meru County. Good morning, the intelligent people. I'm listening. Powerful conversations. Asante Sana. Ruben Makanga says, good morning. Love listening to you. Always make my morning. Karibu Sana from Mombasani. Mavenge Mushemi says, good morning. Tuned in from Pangani. God woke us up. The rest is up to us. Good morning, says Tutu West. I agree. House of Googie says that jungle green is absolutely beautiful. You are too kind, my man. Thank you so much. Extra says good morning, tuned in from Guacairo. Oh, what is that? Sami Mwalili is tuned in this morning and says, can Nancy Gathongo confirm the flyover at the junction actually cost 3.5 plus billion? Well, somebody's got to. Josh Willie says good morning. Amaya Okoh, good morning. I don't know where you are, but okay. Dolly Lux is also saying good morning. And everybody is tuned into the show this morning. Karibu Sana.
There's this guy called, what's his name? Jackson Omoyo.
Yes, sir.
He's just speaking to Evelyn. This is a tall boy.
But
it missed you.
Kabisa. It just flew over my head. Ivi.
Jackson.
Kuna mambo kwa nini?
Slide kwa DM. Loki.
You must come and speak to the uncles.
You have to talk to us first. What is his name? Yeah. What did he say his name is? Jackson, tall guy from Meru. You have to seek the tripartite council of elders.
He just dropped it. It's so smooth.
I tell you, it's interesting. Should we trust you? All right, guys, Karibuni Sana, as we get into it this morning, let's look into the headlines. Quite some. There's a place with standard. Kenya's bold newspaper has camped, and now we're lighting the fire because it seems like we are in this camping area for a while. Suluhu's vendetta is what's on the front page of the Standard this morning. Tanzania has unleashed a ruthless crackdown on foreigners innocently accused of stoking post-election violence, with police and soldiers raiding lodgings, tightening borders, and detaining East Africans without cause. This is actually happening. The directive issued from police headquarters late Monday has sent shockwaves through the hospitality sector and triggered fear among Kenyans living in the country. This is the reality. We talk about it and we see it happening. This is what she said for all doubt to be erased during none other than her swearing-in ceremony on Monday. She said, and you'll pardon me, sikushtuka kuona kuna watu waliotoka nchi jirani na kuanza vita humu nchini mwetu. Nitawatafuta kila mmoja wenu na mtajua mimi ndiye amri jeshi kuu na simba jike. This is what she said during a swearing-in ceremony on Monday.
She's the lioness.
Yes. Roar. So, in case you're wondering whether she was serious about it, and then we see that Monday night, this is the night after the night of her inauguration, where she said, if you're in a hole, we will flush you out. That's basically what she said.
You know what? This world has seen the likes of Idi Amin.
Yeah.
It has seen
the likes of Mugabe.
Hitlers, the Mugabes of this world.
Yeah.
Utaenda tu.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's so apparently what's happening now that we see the aftermath of all of this is as a result of the directive that she then gave.
Yeah.
That, find them, flush them out. Because as far as she's concerned, these are not Tanzanians who are doing this. According to a Kenyan researcher in Tanzania, soldiers stopped us, searched the vehicles, and again asked about our stay in Tanzania. Most of us still had a valid 30-day permit, but they claimed foreigners should only stay for a week. They made us sleep on the tarmac, cocked their guns, and pointed them at some of us. It was terrifying. And those now form the basis for a lot of stories that are coming out of Tanzania. Okay, we're going to look into that, of course, at 7 o'clock. And we'll say it as it is. Yeah. Badi flags 80 billion shilling monthly wage bill, warns it threatens the economy. If you have... The material that you have is for a petticoat, but you're wearing a trench coat and boots and pullover. What do you expect to happen? And he's telling you guys, this 80 billion shilling that we're spending per month is not good. Duh. I mean, you don't need a genius to tell you that. Obviously, there's a problem. So, Faith Odhiambo resigned from the compensation of victims and demonstrations and public protests expert panel. And there's a lady called Clarice Awor Oganga who now quickly took the Bible and said, I do. So she's now the vice of that. That's filled that place. Remember the slain lawyer Mbobo, I beg your pardon? There was stories that came out later about money that he owed. Well, posthumously, he has won a battle with the lender over 70 million shillings. Storm over Kindiki's Tanzania trip as critics query Kenya's moral standards and saying, okay, fine, you send somebody to represent, that means you are okay with what has happened. So they're saying no. UASU meets to consider deal to end 49-day strike. I'm telling you, Parliament was awash with drama yesterday when, of course, the committee met, as well as UASU Secretary General Constantine Wasanga. They were before the National Assembly Education Committee yesterday. So that was quite something to watch, where he basically said it raw. Don't come here to Parliament and try to pretend like you don't know what's happening. You guys, we are telling you very clearly, you have not even tried to say, let's even pay 50%. You've been quiet. Then when the country wants to burn, you guys want to behave as if you're Gabriel and his twin brother. Nah, we're not going to take it. Exactly. Shut up. Bold aftermath. Tanzania election clampdown now targets foreigners. That's what we're talking about. Kenyans face hostility after Suluhu's remarks. There's quite a lot of it. That's what we're looking at. And we'll look into the details of some of the stories as we go along. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Daily Nation. How payroll cartel is milking Kenyans. Now, employment fraud, ghost workers, fake academic papers, backdated birth certificates, double allowances, and job group manipulations are some of the ways through which rogue public servants and managers are siphoning billions of taxpayers' money. I beg your pardon. Public money every year. Now, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku yesterday said hundreds of civil servants are under investigations over rampant malpractices. Now, landslides search is still on for the missing West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin and his Elgeyo Marakwet counterpart Wesley Rotich joined public during search for bodies at Murkutuo in Keio Valley, Elgeyo Marakwet. Government has put the death toll at 32. More than 20 people are still missing in the villages that were hit by the deadly landslides last week. Rescue operations continue. We follow up on the same. It is now up to state to end the varsity strike. There is a glimmer hope for a breakthrough in the 2-month-long lecture strike after the university's academic staff union signaled willingness to consider a government proposal for phased payment of the 7.9 billion shillings arrears. And counties set for 70.6 billion shillings boost as MPs strike deal. Now, counties have won a reprieve after MPs and senators struck a long-awaited deal to unlock 70.6 billion shillings in additional allocations, ending months of wrangling between the two houses over conditional and unconditional grants. One would only hope that even as these monies are being discussed, deals are being agreed upon, that later there would be a report on how these monies have been spent, if these projects have been completed. You know, it's not just about giving money, but seeing what that money has actually done. Yeah.
Very true.
And you're saving the children with heart conditions is my best trophy, says Arsenal legend Kanu. Now, Nigeria's Nwankwo Kanu underwent a heart operation to correct a faulty outtake valve in 1996 after the defect was discovered during a medical examination as he was completing his transfer from Dutch club Ajax to Italy's Inter Milan. So he has now become a philanthropist, ensuring that whatever he went through is actually handled in children early enough. Okari.
Okay, let's look at the Star. And on the front page, the headline, Raila's party in turmoil as Ruto deal sparks war. So one faction wants government positions, another one wants protection of party identity. And then I'll get into the details of that story. But then there's a picture here of a lucky escape, Margaret Cheptor, a survivor of the Kerio Valley mudslides, who is recuperating at Moi Teaching Referral Hospital, the scene of the tragedy in Elgeyo Marakwet, is another picture there. And then there's another one where there are rescuers evacuating victims using military choppers in Chesongoch, Marakwet East. Angel of Light rescued me, mudslide survivor says. Short rains peak this month, while January likely to be hot and dry is another story. Domestic loans mount as the country's debt crosses 12 trillion. Now, this story of short rains, because we've been experiencing rains, and then there's this headline of mudslides because of lots of rain. So rain will continue, but generally will be lighter than usual, except for heavy storms and possible flash floods in western Kenya. That's according to the Met Department. Despite the expected general dryness, localized major storms may still occur. The focus warns of possible heavy rains in parts of western Kenya. So there's more rain if you're in the western region, including the Lake Victoria Basin, the highlands west of Rift Valley and South Rift Valley, where, again, we've seen this mudslide. So downpours could trigger flash floods in a lot of these vulnerable areas. So expect more rain. The latest 3-month focus predicted general reduced rainfall. So now, the forecast has outlined that Kwanzia January, kitaumana.
How?
January is going to be hotter and drier. January 2026. So, brace yourself. Jua itakuwa kali sana.
Si tuombe tu January isikuwe na 76 days. Ikuwa 230. If now that it's going to be hot, dry, bila nini.
That's why I've told you to plan yourself. You know, it can be so hot and dry and 72 days when it's also hot and dry in the pockets.
Wallahi.
But if the pockets are full.
If you want to be hot and dry, that's okay.
Yeah, so, since we're in November, usikule kila kitu Christmas. Because January is waiting for you. The weatherman has just said that, guys, look, the outlook, January 2026, is showing that it's going to be, November, we're going to experience still rain. December, rain. Before the conditions then
talking about the weather.
Yes, before it turns into hot and dry.
I don't get that phenomenon that is December that makes January have 76 days. Because we're literally talking about 7 days. And during those 7 days, a lot happens.
Mtu anaoga, alafu nasikia anaoga, alafu
I'm saying December.
Or somebody says, I've gone to get milk. You don't see them till Monday.
Those 7 days, between 24th to around 2nd.
Well, the problem with December is this, for salaried people, the problem is this. There's a lot of checks in mid-month,
Yeah.
For many companies, So you paid your December salary up around 12th and 15th.
So you think it's an allowance? It's not.
It's not an allowance. Then there are a lot of circles that also give dividends. So you get an advanced dividends and you withdraw all of it. Okay, so this is umeshika advance, umeshika salary.
If the company also performed well, there is a bonus.
And somebody says, hey, trended Zanzibar. Okay.
Zanzibar haiwezi enda.
Oh, sorry.
Hautarudi.
Too soon. Sorry.
And so by 27th of December.
Can you imagine 27th of December you're broke?
A lot of people, well, not everyone, for a lot of people, by 27th, pesa onge. Pesa imeisha. Then January, you remember, wait a minute, when are kids going back to school? When is rent due? Electricity bills. Token ndio inaanza kublink.
Ulisafiri gari inahitaji service.
Wacha service, gari ina insurance. Hujalipa insurance.
Sheesh.
So don't blame the weather. I've already told you.
Okay.
So Raila's party in turmoil as Ruto deals sparks war. So former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's allies are sharply divided over whether to support President William Ruto's administration unconditionally or to attach a set of political demands ahead of the 2027 general elections. So one faction within ODM is arguing that the party has been orphaned and should fully cooperate and unconditionally back the president to safeguard development gains in ODM bastions. You hear this?
Come on.
However, another group insists that any form of support must come with clear political guarantees, including key government positions and protection of ODM's political identity. Mmejisikia mmetajwa mali hapo?
Nani?
Are you in this conversation?
No.
Yes. So leaders allied to acting party leader Buru Ginga favor structured cooperation, warning that blind allegiance could erode ODM's gaining power. Now, Buru insists political parties must secure and not surrender the power. It continues and continues. So, Kenya expands Saudi diplomatic footprint with new Jeddah mission is another story there. Samia Suluhu on the spot over controversial election results. Governors are demanding 10% of affordable housing. They also want a grant from state to maintain physical infrastructure around the units.
Wait. Who is doing what?
President William Ruto faces a new headache over the implementation of the affordable housing program amid fresh demands by governors. Now, through the Council of Governors, the county bosses are demanding at least 10% of the affordable housing units. In addition, they want a grant from the national government to manage and maintain physical and social infrastructure around the units. You know how you have where you live, you pay for service charge.
Yeah.
So basically, what the counties are saying, to pay your service charge, we will take care of any infrastructure around these units. And they also want the construction of the houses to be subjected to the county development approval process to increase their revenues. So if you want to build, go through our county development offices. They are going to look at your architectural designs, your plans,
get
talk to engineers, and then you must get approvals. That way, they are also getting some money. So the fresh demands now pose a fresh headache to the president, whose administration is implementing the program as its flagship project. That is what's going on. So, Senate team is probing Nyeri County, and the governor over unsecured and unvalued loans. So a Senate Oversight Committee has faulted the Njeri government for issuing uninsured loans, accepting unvalued land as security, and disbursing funds without proper vetting by the Loans Board. The Senate County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee questioned Governor Mutahi Kahiga's administration over 16.3 million in loans that were issued without valuation reports to confirm the value of the land used as collateral. The Auditor General, in our latest report on the Njeri County Enterprise Development Fund for the year ending June 30th, 2024, warned that the absence of valuation documents puts the recovery of the loans at risk. Now, according to the audit, loans totaling 16.3 million were issued to 41 individuals, 34 of which amount to 13.4 million were secured using title deeds, but no valuation was conducted. So well, letter to your title deeds. Ni what? 40 by 100, it doesn't matter. 1 acre, quarter, an eighth, it doesn't matter. Shika pesa. So the committee is looking at Mutahi Kahiga, na even doing Nzanga. So court maintains freeze, my last story here, on new cybercrime law. So Judge Kerugoya High Court has extended conservatory orders barring the national government from implementing the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2024. So Judge Edward Murithi extended the orders following a petition filed by Kirinyaga woman representative Njeri Minor, who's challenging it. The orders stopping the government from enforcing provisions of the act were first issued by Justice Lawrence Mugambi on October 22nd, following the filing of a petition by Ruben Kigame and the Kenya Human Rights Commission in Milimani High Court. So the two challenged the act introduced in Parliament in August 2024, and Justice Murithi halted the enforcement until November 5th, which is today. Actually.
Yes, it is.
Pending the hearing of the application before Justice Lawrence Mugambi.
Okay. So that should be interesting.
Yes.
Really quickly, because getting to the top of the hour, this one story that just needed a flag, interestingly enough, Mbadi flags 8 billion shillings monthly wage bill, warns it threatens the economy. I don't think you need a genius to figure that out. But the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has warned that the country's growing wage bill poses a major fiscal risk, urging restraint, even as pressure mounts to raise salaries for university staff. So you see now, when university staff say pay us, what do they say? the wage bill is too high. Guys, we need to be very careful. This is fiscal risk and irresponsibility. But these other things, when you want to buy new car, you want to paint the house, you want to buy carpet, you want to travel...
You want to hire new advisors?
Yeah, when you want to hire advisors and pay them a hefty salary, when you want to increase pensions, the wage bill is not a threat to the fiscal whatever. But now when
you can go to Kakamega and say, you know what, when you are hospitali, I'll give 1 billion to just finish this thing up.
That's not an issue. No. But in this case, here we have a problem. So he's saying that as he appeared before the Education Committee as well, because this is when Wasonga was there, he said the government's monthly wage bill has surged from 75 billion in January to about 80 billion, translating to nearly 960 billion shillings annually. That's just salary payments and all of this. So he's saying now, when we're looking at these percentages and things like that, and now these guys are telling us that they want 6.9 billion shillings to 7.6 billion shillings. Sasa munataka tutoe hiyo pesa wapi? And you know, it's also being fiscally irresponsible. Now we say we want to raise salaries all over the place. Leave alone that you're university lecturers who are teaching our children, for whom we want to connect to an economy that's going to where? First what?
Singapore.
Thank you very much. We can't think about such things because it's fiscally risky and irresponsible. You understand? So, meanwhile, it's what time?
On our own.
Thanks. 7 o'clock. Cheers.
Spice up your life.
It is now 7 a.m. with ICEA Lion. Protect your today, securing your tomorrow.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Striking lecturers have once again rejected the government's proposal to clear the 7.9 billion shilling salary arrears in 2 installments as the strike enters its 49th day. WASU Secretary General Dr. Constantine Wasonga told the National Assembly's Education Committee that lecturers want the full amount paid immediately, citing previous unfulfilled promises. He, however, said the union will convene a meeting with members to review the offer.
When I talked about reasonable offer, I didn't mean that this 7.9 billion was to be put in phases. What I meant there is the reasonable offer for 2025, 2029, because currently they are giving us 2%. So we said we need a reasonable offer for 2025, 2029 CBA, not that to be split. Organs of the union have rejected the 50-50, and I don't want to promise the Honorable House that they are going to accept. They voted against it.
Treasury CS John Bardi said the government's tight financial constraints necessitates payment in installments, explaining that public servants consume 80 billion shillings monthly.
Even though with the tight fiscal phase that we are in, and the government committed to fund the CBA in 2 installments. That is 50% in financial year 25-26 and then 50% in 26-27. I wish just to state the following 2 additional information, Mr. Chairman. First, that the National Treasury would request that we make a commitment that we would be able to honor and respect.
Education CS Julius Ogamba confirmed that talks with striking unions were ongoing.
This is our plan and chair. It's not all the universities that are on strike. We have 12 universities that are on strike. The others are in class. Now we're going to have a discrepancy where some students will complete when they entered at the same time and others will not, despite the definition of the difference of these universities that
Teachers at the coast have opposed the government's plan to shift them from Minet medical cover to SHA. Coast NAT Secretary General Dan Allo warned the union may take legal action, saying teachers have contributed over 21 billion shillings to Minet and fear the funds could be mismanaged under the new arrangement. The union also pointed out that SHA is still grappling with operational challenges and urged the government to consult them before the planned move on December the 1st.
Rural urban private hospital hawajasikizana na serikali, bado wanadai. Sasa walimu hao 450,000 pamoja na familia yao karibu 1.8 million watahama mara moja kwenda kwa SHA bila mpangilio.
Saa hii kwanza bado kuna matatizo ya watu wa Minet. Kuna masuala ya pre-order. As I'm speaking, kuna walimu kama 5 saa hii wamenipigia asubuhi bado hajakuwa pre-order. Kama kiwa Minet iko vile na sisi tumekubaliana nao muda mrefu, leo tunachukuliwa kiolela tunawekwa kwa SHA. Sisi kile tuna tumeongea, lazima kwanza tuweke kwa meza, tuzungumze. Hatuwezi kukubali kuchukuliwa kwa SHA bila kuwa na mkataba rasmi.
The National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement or NYOTA program will benefit over 1 million youth over the next 5 years. President William Ruto said this at the second UN Conference on Social Development in Doha, Qatar, and urged the international community to support efforts to eradicate poverty and create jobs. He commended the United Arab Emirates for providing employment opportunities to Kenyans and called for improved working conditions for Kenyan workers abroad. Ruto also highlighted the impact of the Hustler Fund.
To date, the fund has disbursed Kenya shillings 80 billion, an equivalent of US dollars 615 million, to 26 million Kenyans. It now accounts for more than 9.5 million repeat borrowers, including 5 million individuals who have successfully restored their creditworthiness, enabling them not only to re-enter the formal credit market, but also access higher borrowing limits and better financial terms.
In Tanzania, a number of Kenyans living there say they've experienced increased monitoring, intimidation, and in some cases detention without cause. A Kenyan researcher based in Arusha who requested anonymity for fear of reprisal recounted being arrested and detained for 5 hours at the Babati police station in Manyara region despite holding valid immigration documents. He said President Samia's recent proclamation blaming foreigners for the post-election violence had worsened hostility against Kenyans. Another Kenyan has reportedly been in police custody since Sunday. His friends say he was on his way to work driving a company car when security officers stopped him at a roadblock and arrested him. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following
mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Coming in at 9 minutes after 7 o'clock on this 5th day of November, and continuing with conversations in the Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation this Tuesday, Wednesday. Hey, I've said it's October, I've said it's Thursday, it's Wednesday.
Just a day of the week.
Did I take my vitamins?
Are you missing October?
Hey, I know what you're doing.
October did you well.
From far. So Wednesday, the 5th of November, and here we are. So clearly it sounds like I don't have a plan because I'm all over the place, but you clearly do, Mr. Okari.
Oh, yes, I do. You know, here on the Situation Room, we always talk about the future a lot, you know. So plans, goals, and tough choices that shape them. But here's a question. What's your plan? Life's moving very fast. You have bills to pay, you've got dreams to achieve, you've got responsibilities that you have to shoulder, and somewhere in between, the future then creeps up on you and you're thinking, okay, what did I just do? Did I really plan well? So ICEA Lion helps you protect, grow, and plan for what matters most in your life. So don't wait for the wake-up call. That's insurance, investments, and peace of mind, all made simple and accessible. Because if you're not planning for the future, it's high time you did. ICEA Lion, what's your plan?
What is your plan? Do you have a plan to go downtown?
Yes.
Do you have a plan to go shopping? You said with 1,000 bob, there's some magic we can do.
A lot more that you can do with that. And that is at Naivas One Mall, Magadi mentioned.
Just keep it moving.
Magadi Mall that is here, right? And when you talk about this mall, it is a mall that is here to ensure that you get the best prices. Because remember, Naivas is celebrating 35 years. So 35 years, 111th store that is here to ensure that you get to enjoy amazing prices and amazing goodies. Now, it is all about loyalty, love, and growth. Now, traffic may be slow, but remember, it is faster at Naivas One Mall, where you get great vibes, fresh deals, and aisles full of your favorites. Now, if you love convenience, quality, Naivas freshness, this is the spot where you go get all that. So when you hit Magadi Road, make that quick stop. The Kikwetu style, and experience Naivas One Mall magic. And what magic are we talking about? We're talking about a chance to win daily on items below 1K. So you spend 1,000 bob and you get much more, which include toasters, blenders, kettles, and you can win big on TVs, fridges, microwaves, and so much more. Naivas does what?
Saves you money.
Kabisa.
Absolutely. All right. David Olesankok is the Yala Member of Parliament, the East African Legislative Assembly. He's here this morning after a while, but here all the same. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yes, how is Kenya?
Well, the sun is shining to some extent. The people are seeming to try to get along with things as we go along. But perhaps in this conversation we can do a compare and contrast, and you'll then be able to know for real. You ask that because you're mostly in Arusha.
Yes, mostly nakuanga huko Arusha na sisi ni watu wa Kiswahili sanifu.
Okay.
Kiswahili murwa. Ile ya kuongea, ile sio ile ya kukuja na ikapotelea sijuu kambani, kitambo ikafika kwa Meru, ikapigwa chenga kidogo. Kitambo ifike Masaila nilikuwa imesha kuwa mutilated.
Imesha korogwa.
Sasa unajua umeharibu. Ni kuja, si kukuja.
Oh, okay.
Kiswahili huwa ni mufti, si kuwa.
Mufti. Umeanza vizuri. Because we'll be talking about ulikuwa Arusha na vitu zilikuwa zinaanza kwa moto kabisa, but we'll talk about some of that as we get into it today.
Yes.
First of all, Dennis will welcome you with today's proverb.
Yes. So today we're in Mauritania. We're not in the East Africa region. And it's about 2/3 of this country is desert or semi-desert. Senegal River forms the country's southern boundary and is the main source of water for farming for the citizens of this country. It's also rich in iron ore. It is rich in gold and some of the minerals that they use to push the economy. But let's go to the proverb. The desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path. The desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path. How would you interpret that?
Of course, that is straightforward. Because of the sand and the blowing of the sand, how do you make roads? Is when you pass, then if it is a footpath, then our legs make a way by removing the grass that were there. Now there is no grass there. And then if you make a road, have you ever traveled to Sahara Desert? Some of those tarmac roads, you see them now, all of a sudden they are covered by sand. Yes, I think so.
Interesting.
So if you have a different opinion, it's okay.
No, it's okay. Your opinion
is never wrong. It is your opinion.
Okay.
It is your interpretation, how you understand the program. Yes.
It's interesting because you mentioned that, of course, you being a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, you're most of the time domiciled in Arusha, and that means that you were, one would assume, when Tanzanians went to the polls last week, Wednesday the 29th, that you were front and center with, a lot of what was going on, and that you didn't have a bird's eye view, but you were right there in it. But beyond that, you're coming from a place of legislation as well when it comes to the tripartite. Well, actually not tripartite now, it's many more than that, or because now we're dealing with IALA, the countries of this legislative assembly, and what happens, Tanzania, of course, being one of them. So first of all, what was the situation with the election from your point of view that then ended in a lot of protests before we get to what's actually happening today?
East Africa Legislative Assembly had sent observers to observe the United Republic of Tanzania elections because it is Tanganyika plus Zanzibar. And the report will be tabled to Parliament on a structured manner. After it have been tabled, then I will answer your question. Fortunate enough, I will also be one of the observers in the upcoming Uganda elections.
Okay.
And I will come up with a report. But now we still don't have our report as East Africa Legislative Assembly. And the delegation was led by one of our own, Honorable Maina Karobia from Kenya. He's the chairman of the Regional and Regional Affair Committee. So you will table the report and we will get to know in details what happened.
So besides, have you just come back from Tanzania, by the way?
No, we have been in recess for the past 2 weeks.
For the past 2 weeks?
Yes.
So during the campaigns, you were in Tanzania?
During the campaigns, I was in Tanzania, I was in Mwanza, I was in Arusha, I was in Dar es Salaam.
Okay. So what is surprising for very many people is we've never witnessed the kind of aftermath that we've seen in Tanzania after the elections. And we all expected it to be calm, albeit the fact that, this is Tanzania. We know the whole drama with Tundu Lissu in jail. Did you foresee this happening?
Not at all. The situation was so calm. Even some of us from Kenya were wondering if it is an election year. In fact, an electionary month, a few weeks to election. The place was so cool. You could rarely hear that there was a campaign. You don't see those convoys. In fact, I was in Mwanza celebrating the Mara River Day, and in somewhere called not before Mwanza. I have to remember the name, and where Mwalimu Julius Nyerere University of Agriculture and Technologies, and the the stadium that we are using was also being used by one of the MPs campaigning, and we had to do our work early in the morning, and then in the afternoon he will come and continue with his campaign, and you don't see anything. So all these have taken us by surprise. We were actually in Butiama, a place called Butiama, yes, before Mwanza.
I mean, you sent observers to observe the elections. If you have any information on how it was, not the report, how is it for your observers to just be part of the exercise?
My friends, you know, we are in East Africa community, which is an economic bloc of 8 countries of 350 million people, of a landmass of 1.4 billion acres. And is a very well-blessed economic and strategically placed economic bloc. With the Indian Ocean on the east and Atlantic Ocean on the west, and also the Gulf of Eden on the north, meaning we can literally do business all over the world. Having these 8 countries, we have a treaty that binds us together. And this treaty that binds us together, it is in terms of pillars. We have the custom union and the common market pillar, which we have already implemented, meaning you can move freely, move goods and services and people from one country to another. There is no requirement of a visa. In fact, some countries like Kenya and Uganda, you literally use a national identity card. But for the rest, you use a passport. Until that day, they have made their ID have minimum required security feature, so that we don't also allow our borders to be so porous. There is 2 pillars that we have not yet implemented: the political union pillar and the monetary union pillar. The political union pillar is the pillar that will now make us one state, one country called East Africa. Before that, each country is a sovereign state with its own constitution. We still don't have one constitution. So what happened in the United Republic of Tanzania is guided by their own constitution. And the citizen from other 7 member states must respect that constitution of Tanzania. Until when they have internal issues, it requires local solutions. Until that day, they call for assistance. The way we had post-election violence in 2007, 2008, we had to call for assistance from outside, from African Union, and we had Kofi Annan coming in. But it is us who invited Kofi Annan. But when we have people from the other 7 member states, probably going and interfering with the internal affairs of a sovereign states, it is uncalled for. It is still, we are not still there.
Do you think
until that day we are there? We have the political union that will make us have a federal government or a confederal government. Before that, internal affairs of each individual country should be solved locally until they call for assistance.
David, do you think that there is interference currently in what's happening in Tanzania?
Of course,
whether it was before the election, during the protests that we saw, and even today in the aftermath of all of that, would you call what conversations are being had interference?
Yeah, you know, I think there was a lot of activism and a lot of civil societies, which for me, and I still believe, and I'll continue believing, even though you people have a contrary opinion, in the African setup, they have become actually evil societies because they have paymasters, foreign paymasters, and unfortunately, the foreign paymasters were our former colonizers who have turned themselves into the political, socio-economic neo-colonizers. And they are trying to interfere with everything that is happening in Africa. And I'm yet to see a civil society in America that is fully supported by the Kenyan taxpayers' money. Yes, or see a civil society in Europe that is fully supported by the United Republic of Tanzania taxpayers' money. But when I see those who are supported by our former colonizers, I get a bit wary, because those are the same that brought some issues to do with LGBTQ, I think, something like that. And still now, before the election of the United Republic of Tanzania, there were a lot of social media interference from other countries, which I believe, and I think you remember, Mother Karua visited actually Tanzania and was denied entry. And we still have those borders. You still have to pass through a border. And when there is a border post, the country that you are traveling to have the right to admit or to reject to admit you. But there was a lot of hey cry because you were not admitted to a sovereign state. How many times have we applied for a visa to go to Netherlands or to go to America, and the visa is denied? What is wrong with a sovereign state, which we have not yet? We are in the process of having an East African federal state, but we are not yet there. And before we go there, let us respect each other sovereignty. But, and I want to make this one very clear, I'm not saying what happened in Tanzania is justifiable. The voice of the people is the voice of God. And I've always given an example that when Africans were fighting for independence, the colonizers had sophisticated weapons more than us. But they did not give us independence because they feared us. It is only that they had to listen to the voice of people because it is the voice of God. Moi repealed Section 2A, not because he feared Kinamatiba and others, but he listened to the voice of the people because it's the voice of God. Moi had a project called Uhuru, but he was rejected on the ballot. He had to hand over power to Mwai Kibaki, his former vice president, on a wheelchair, because the voice of the people is the voice of God. You remember also Kibaki, the issue of Ndizi and Chungwa referendum. Kibaki had to listen to the voice of the people because it's the voice of God. The list go on, including when President Uhuru wanted Raila, but then he was defeated. He did not want the current president. But he had to listen to the voice of the people because it's the voice of God. He handed over the instrument of power in broad daylight in Kasarani.
I still need to ask you, because I need you to come back to that question. What kind of interference was happening before the election, during the protests that were happening in the towns that you mentioned, Moshi, Dodoma, Dar es Salaam, Arusha, all over? What kind of interference was happening that would undermine the sovereignty of Tanzania?
So, as I put that point very clear, the voice of people must be listened, even the leaders who are in the United Republic of Tanzania, those currently who are in Kenya, they have to listen to the voice of the people. And what I'm against is the interference you are talking about.
Which is what?
You know, when the likes of Mother Karua, the likes of, I think, what was the other name of the other guy who said that he was kidnapped?
Boniface Mwangi?
Boniface Mwangi, you know. All of them were going there, knowing very well that there is a court process. I hear that one day Mother Karua represented Kiza Besigye in Uganda. And surely, if you go to represent somebody in the United Republic of Tanzania and you don't follow the due process of representation, because here in Kenya, even when you graduate with a law degree in the University of Nairobi, you have still to go to Kenya School of Law and be admitted to the bar. So even if you have to represent somebody here, you have to have been admitted to the bar as the advocate of the High Court in Kenya. So even if you had to go and represent Tundu Lissu in whichever capacity, Whether you are a leader in Kenya or not, you are a leader in Kenya, you are a lawyer in Kenya.
Interference during the election, David. Interference during the election.
Of course,
the election was on the 29th of October. Yes. What interference do we see during the election? There's a place I'm trying to go with this question. And if you could tell me what that is, perhaps then the next one would. What was the interference that we saw that would undermine the sovereignty of Tanzania from the 29th of October through towards the weekend and into the swearing in of President Samia Suluhu on the 2nd of November? What interference did we see from Kenya, for example?
The election is not a one-off event. It is an event that is a process. And as you prepare the masses, either to accept the outcome of the election or not to accept the outcome of the election, how you hype the emotions of the electorates is also a process. So all that have been done a month before or even a year before will now project itself during that day of the election.
But you said yourself here just a few minutes ago that you didn't even know it was an election year. Things in Tanzania were so peaceful, that everything was going on so well. So then how does that translate to interference during an election? Because now we are saying that you said up until the point where people were going to vote, there was nothing. You said that everything was okay. So we talk about a process which is understood for sure, but I'm still trying to understand. Maybe I can help just a little bit.
Yes.
That what we see during Samia Suluhu's inauguration speech on Monday, she was very clear. She said, sikushtuka kuona kama watu walitoka nchi jirani na kuanza vita humu nchini mwetu. Nitawatafuta kila mmoja wenu na mtajua mimi ndiye amri jeshi kuu na simba jike. So what interference, according to you, are we talking about that would then warrant a statement this?
And when they talk of jirani, jirani can be any other country, not necessarily Kenya. So that we put the record straight.
Okay.
And she's a consumer of raw intelligence. And she spoke as the president of the United Republic of Tanzania, who had some raw intelligence. So we are yet to see. Because why do you want to preempt? How many have been arrested? And who have been arrested? And from which Jirani country? Let us wait for that time. Because I'm not a consumer of that raw intelligence. But there must be a point in which she's speaking from. Yes.
Are you saying that the protest we witnessed in Tanzania was as a result of, and you've mentioned several times, Martha Karua and the likes, of interfering with Tanzanians?
No, I've just given an example.
Yes, in that example.
Yeah, because there were physical interference.
Yes, you said that an election is a process, and I totally agree. And therefore, Martha Karua and all the other activists who went to support Tundu Lissu, in this case, you're saying, there's a statement you said, stoking the emotions of the people in Tanzania ahead of the election. So are you then saying they are actually the ones to blame for what you've seen in Tanzania, without raw intelligence, without any reports that you've received from ESE?
Categorically, I cannot say it is, but from history, we have seen it happening. Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown by their own people, but we know where the interference came from and who did not want Muammar Gaddafi. Of course, we know that Libya, they used not to pay taxes, they used to access healthcare free of charge, they used to have good jobs. There was a whole river that was man-made in Libya, you know, a whole desert turned into an oasis of everything, you know. But because there was a nation that did not want, they did not come directly. They use people from Libya by interfering with them through the civil societies. And that is why I still hold that these civil societies have turned into evil societies.
So in this case, as evil societies, this is so these evil societies that you're referring to,
yes.
In the case of Tanzania, what's the end game? To get Samia Suluhu out of power, or what's the agenda according to you?
The agenda of our former colonizers, who are now the political, socio-economic neo-colonizers, have been to destabilize Africa, because the moment you are destabilized, they can access to the rare resources, underground resources that they are here, and raw materials that are within us. That is why it will be very difficult, even after us, East African community sending our troops to DRC. Getting peace is a tall order.
No, Sankoka, I'm referring to Tanzania. Let's stick to Tanzania.
Yes, it's still the same situation.
Yes, I just want you to answer me. These evil societies that you're referring to.
Yes.
I just want to follow your train of thoughts.
Yes.
You are saying, well, apart from whether it's Satan paying them, whatever, I just want to understand, what, in your opinion, is their agenda?
The agenda in Tanzania. You know, Tanzania is blessed with one of the rarest mineral called tanzanite. It's not anywhere else in the world. And there are a lot of underground resources, by the way, for your own information. And they're big land. And a lot of game reserve and national parks, which is also another now rare commodity, because you can discover oil anywhere else, but wild animals can only be extinct. You cannot discover any other wild animal anywhere else. So they want to destabilize the country so that they can access. That is why today, if you go to Tarangire National Park, there are foreigners building hotels here and there.
David, I have a question.
Yes.
I still go back to my original question.
Yes, go back.
Before.
Yes.
You sent observers to observe this election.
Yes.
A report will come later.
Of course. In a structured manner.
In a structured manner,
yes.
I agree.
Yes.
How was the experience of your observers during this electioneering period? Number one. Number two, I want us to talk about the citizens of Tanzania and the concerns that they had been raising before the election, where the concerns were that they see the election not to be free and fair because of the opponents who were in jail, like Tundu Lissu. And they were clamoring to have a free and fair process where everybody would be allowed to participate in the election. The citizens of Tanzania who were on the streets, how do you label that as not being citizens but being interference from outside? How? If it's the citizens themselves who was speaking on the street on what they wanted.
Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown by Libyans, but of course from interference from outside. We have to accept that. Saddam Hussein was killed, and we know who killed Saddam Hussein. We know. It is not the Iraqis.
So the demands by the citizens
No. Listen,
is
because
not
I'm coming
important.
I'm coming to your question. You ask about what was the feeling of our observers.
What was their experience?
Their experience. They will table the report in a structured manner, and they will tell us what is their experience, what they think. I hear that SADC have already probably tabled their report, and we hear that the report is a bit damning. But for ours, it is not yet there, and I will not discuss a report that is not yet there. Yes, and when you say about there were agitation before the election by Tanzanians that they want a free and fair election, I heard that they also wanted constitutional amendment, which is not the first time for people to agitate for constitutional amendment in their own country and rejected. Our own DZ Katiba was rejected, our own BBI was rejected, but I never heard Tanzanians coming to say, why did you reject the BBI? I am not comfortable with any other person from any other country interfering with internal affairs of a country. We rejected BBI, we did not get anybody from Uganda, DRC, or Tanzania telling us, why did you reject BBI? Yet it was a constitutional moment. Again, for those who will participate in the election of any other country, even here in Kenya, they are free. Everybody is free
apart from prisoners, apart from those who have been impeached, we have blocked people from who have cases from participating in our own elections. So I don't have the authority to ask why was until I see probably the court process and what does the court says, because I am a legislator. I'm not the one who will interpret the law.
But Sankoka,
judiciary will interpret.
I'm surprised. You say you're a legislator.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm surprised. You're talking about interference. And I say, and I'll keep going back to the Martha Karua example. Are you, because you said she went to represent Kizza Besigye in this example in another jurisdiction, in another country.
Yes.
But are you aware that the Uganda Law Council granted Martha Karua a temporary practicing certificate to practice law in Uganda on 6th of January 2025. And she applied via the Uganda Law Society. And the approval then enabled her to represent clients in a Ugandan court. This is not infiltration. It's Uganda that gave her that.
Thank you.
And so, what then is wrong? Because you are supposed then to represent the East Africa spirit. So you can go move to Uganda, support whoever you want to support in Uganda within the confines of the law. You're allowed to. Somebody from Uganda, if they want to come and support somebody who is for or against the BBI, in the example that you just gave, can be free to do so as long as you are within the framework of the law.
Okay.
So what is then wrong with going to Tanzania and standing with the ideals and the vision and the person of Tundu Lissu as a Kenyan? Because we are in East Africa. We have an East African passport. Well, how is that interference?
I think, Okari, even before you answer, when you talk about EAC, we have the EAC, a mutual recognition of professionals across board, which is part of the EAC, which is part of EAC. So if that is the case, then how do you say Martha Karua is not legible?
You know, it is good because, you know, you speak and you yourself answer the question. Because you said Martha Karua, in the case of Kizza Besigye in Uganda, she applied.
And she was given.
Yeah. Yeah, listen.
And she was admitted in court.
Listen, how many applications have you done, and how many applications have been rejected, and how many have been accepted?
What's your point?
Do you now want to say, once you apply, it is a must for it to be accepted?
We're not talking, it's not a case of a must or must.
Why did not Martha Karua just go and represent without an application? Now that the country that you are going to...
Because she was not... Let me answer that question for you. She was not going to observe. She was going to represent as legal counsel, not on her own accord.
Yes.
But she was asked by the person who is in the dock.
Okay. Now you can.
This is not just a fair weather. She was asked for, and she had to apply constitutionally to then be able to represent with legal flyers. She had to do that. But in the case of Tanzania, remember, this is a public hearing.
Why apply?
It was a public hearing in Tanzania.
No, why apply for a temporary work permit? Why apply?
It was not a work permit that she was applying for to go to Uganda. It was a legal license permit to go and represent somebody in a court of law.
So my question is, why apply?
There are even Ugandans who were not given, Ugandan lawyers who were not given this license.
The question, let me answer you.
Why apply?
Under Uganda's Advocates Act. No, let me just tell you. Section 18, it says lawyers from other jurisdictions, even from Commonwealth countries, must apply for a special certificate and may need attachment to a local firm.
Now,
so she was following this process. And she was given a temporary certificate.
Now, if you apply, my question, because she must apply, my question is that if you apply, because even in Tanzania, it's the same.
Yes, it is.
Even here in Kenya. Now, if you apply, does it mean it is automatic that you may be given?
I think
if it was rejected, what is wrong with?
I think we must explain this to you so that you understand.
If it was
and it's a bit worrying, David, because you are a legislator, so you must understand this.
Yes.
The two situations here are different. In Tanzania, there was a public hearing which people have the right to go and attend. Understand that in Uganda, Martha Karua is legal counsel for Kizza Besigye. She is his lawyer. in order for her to practice in Uganda, to attend court sessions, to then be a judicial officer in the court process, she had to apply for a local certificate in order to practice. She was not going to practice in Tanzania.
She was going for a public hearing.
Attend a public hearing, which under Njamweya is allowed. It's allowed.
No.
You should know this, legislator.
Which treaty?
You should know this. You should tell us.
No.
She is allowed.
United Republic of Tanzania is still a sovereign state. The world public in the United Republic of Tanzania refer to the citizen of the United Republic of Tanzania. The same apply to Kenya. And again, when you go to Uganda today or you go to Tanzania, does the Tanzania government have the right to admit you or to reject your entry?
Any country in the world. Do they have? Any country in the world has the right. But what we cannot have this conversation.
Now,
David, we can't have this conversation if you choose not to understand.
If the United Republic of Tanzania...
If you choose not to understand the premise upon which this argument is based, that the two scenarios in both countries are totally different. If you ask me to come to your country to build a house, for example, and I'm an architect. In order for me to practice, I must have the requisite local certification to do that. Sans that, I cannot practice. She's legal counsel for Kizza Besigye in Uganda. In order for her to practice locally, she needed the certification for which she applied and she received it. In Tanzania, she was not representing Tundu Lissu.
You are not also understanding me.
She was attending a public hearing.
A public in reference to the citizen of Tanzania.
So she didn't.
Secondly, listen, she's not a public when it comes to the citizen of Tanzania. She is a foreigner when it comes to Tanzania. She's not the members of public. Secondly, when I travel to the United Republic of Tanzania, even today, I have to go through the border post. I have to go to the custom. Now, based on reports, intelligent report, they can either deny me entry or accept my entry.
And they're within their right.
And they are within their right. Yes. So why are we agitated? Because the United Republic of Tanzania said, based on intelligence that we have received, Mother Karua is not allowed to enter into our foreign state. If they refuse her, if today we reject an application for somebody to enter Kenya through our border post, and we return them from the border post or from the airport, are we out of the law?
David.
Because if you have to apply, it means that application can be accepted or rejected. So for Mother Karua to apply to enter Tanzania, they can either reject or accept.
David, you mentioned that foreigners are interfering with the elections in Tanzania.
Yes.
What proof do you have that there was any semblance of foreigners interfering with the elections in Tanzania if all that the world saw were Tanzanians themselves on the streets agitating for what it is they thought was right for them?
I did not say that foreigners are interfering with Tanzania. Mm-hmm. I said I'm against any country of the 7 member states of East Africa interfering with local internal affairs of one of the member states. In this reference is the United Republic of Tanzania. Until Tanzania have their internal affairs, they are not able to solve them locally, they will ask for assistance from us. The way the DRC had asked for our troops, the East African troops, and we took them there. The way troops are in Somalia, and it is through a structured manner, but not through social media, not through rushing to when they say that this is a public hearing. And you are not a member of public in Tanzania. You can't just rush there.
David, why do you think citizens were on the streets in Tanzania? Why were they demonstrating?
Once I receive the report, I'll be able to know why they were demonstrating. But from what we are hearing from newspapers and from media houses is that the election was not free and fair. I'm here to get the evidence because I know any.
Do you believe it was free and fair?
I don't have any evidence to the contrary.
But your belief is not based on evidence. Your belief is something that's inside you. What do you believe? That's what belief means. That's the definition of belief. It's like the definition of opinion, like we had when you were giving us the proverb. It's an opinion. It's your opinion. Belief. It's from inside you. You don't need evidence to form a belief.
For me,
evidence can form a thought, but not a belief. So, what do you believe?
Probably they did it in according to their constitution. So, any person, just like what we used to have in Kenya, when somebody is not satisfied with the election, they go to court, and the judiciary pronounce themselves.
Okay,
because they are the ones that interpret the law.
Okay, so Samia Suluhu said she's going to, and she's made it very clear, she's going to unleash a ruthless crackdown on foreigners who she accused of then stoking the post-election violence. And we've seen videos and images of police, and soldiers raiding people's houses, lodgings, and there are many Kenyans who are in Tanzania. Are you troubled or worried that some of the things that you're saying, because if you tend to agree with what Samia Suluhu is saying, that this...
No, I do not agree with what Samia Suluhu is saying.
You're saying it in very many words. You are saying that there was interference. You don't stand
advocate
for... And that's what I'm saying, in very many words.
Even in Kenya, I cannot advocate for foreigners to interfere into our local affairs.
Do you believe Kenyans were involved in the protests?
No, of course. Where? Kenyans have been protesting within their borders. They have never crossed the borders. We have been protesting since 1991, during the agitation for multipartyism, even before that. And we have never crossed our borders during our protests. So why are you asking me? I have never had somebody from Kenya who have been accused from another country of protesting there.
So all this was happening on social media, because you earlier referred to social media. There was a lot of conversations going on social media. With regards,
I could see the social media and see people commenting from all over the world. Some of them are not citizens of Tanzania, and they don't have any right to do so.
They don't have a right to talk about Tanzania?
Why? Interfere with their internal affairs? Why should I allow what is happening in Kenya to be a conversation in the US?
What's your definition of interference in this conversation? What's interference?
There are so many ways of interference. One of them is what we saw and what you have kept on referring. This is a public hearing, and then all of a sudden, we have the world hearing. The whole world is coming. Why? If it is a public hearing in Kenya, the citizens of Kenyans are allowed to hear, not the whole world.
So talking about the rights of somebody, is that interference?
No, I didn't say that.
Let's say somebody, let's say you're a Kenyan. Let's say somebody from Zambia, let's give an example of Zambia, comes and says, you know what, I'm standing with David. His rights are being infringed. According to even your own laws. Somebody is in support of you and standing for your rights.
And they come all the way to...
They don't necessarily have to. Let's say they're just tweeting. They're talking about this on social media, that no, David shouldn't be arrested. David has a right to just hearing. They basically just talk about the rights. Nothing illegal.
Of course.
Is there a problem when a Zambian...
No, there is no problem if they say, according to the Constitution of Kenya, David have a right for fair hearing and fair treatment.
So for those who are standing with Tundu Lissu, what law are they breaking?
No, there is no law when they stand with Tundu Lissu without interfering.
With what?
And that's why I asked you earlier, what is interference?
And what's interference?
Interference is going all the way. Now, supposing those borders were open for every citizen to go, we have 350 million citizens of East African community. Supposing then all of us hear the clarion call from the so-called civil societies
and the 350 million people go for a public hearing in Tanzania.
Okay,
what will happen?
Remove the Kenyans. What about the Tanzanians who are standing with Tundu Lissu?
That is absolutely okay.
Okay. Now, what
as
about
far as they allow the court process to go through?
What about the Tanzanians who, from you say the IALA report is not yet out, and that might take a while. Okay, but there are other reports that are out. Sometimes you can't listen to chat. You can actually listen to chatter to get the situation on the ground. There are regional observers. There are human rights bodies. There are global bodies. There are African bodies. Even the AUC chairperson, who started with a glowing account of the election and a congratulatory message, in the later part of his message said that he urges for peace and he urges for unification, that there were people for who they were protesting, and it was very clear what they were protesting against. Is that interference?
Unlike the chairman of AUC.
I need you to answer that question.
Unlike the chairman, I'm answering. Unlike the chairman of AUC, I started by saying the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Is it?
So yes, that is what I said. Maybe
no,
you are not listening.
No, I heard you say it a number of times. I'm asking you if it actually is.
Yes.
And how is it?
And it is the voice of the people in reference to the voice of Tanzanians must be listened. The voice of Gen Z, if they are the ones demonstrating, must be listened.
Okay.
Because it's the voice of God.
So what does that voice say, according to what you're saying? What is that voice saying?
There was
this
a
voice that you say it's the voice of God in relation, not about a time beyond or outside of this election, David. What is this voice, the Tanzanian voice that you're now saying is the voice of God? What is that voice saying?
The voice is saying that the election was not fair.
And what else?
But the voice also must be gauged. If it is the majority, they will have their way, and the minority will have their say.
So what you're saying essentially,
because that is the democracy.
So you're saying that the voice, you've said the voice of the people is the voice of God. You've now said
even your own voice.
No. We are talking about Tanzania.
Yes.
And we're talking about the people.
Yes.
You said that the voice of the people is the voice of God. You've gone now to say that this voice must be gauged. So you now must gauge the voice of God?
They must be listened.
You must gauge the voice of God?
The voice of that is according to democracy.
You gauge the voice of God.
That is according to the democracy, because the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say.
No, David, let's not conflate issues here.
No, we are.
You've said that the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Yes.
But you now want to come later and limit that and say, this God, if I'm taking God by a definition which is universally accepted, that it is a divine voice and that voice is all powerful and that we listen and heed that voice. But you still want to limit it and gauge it and say, when we think it can be gauged, then perhaps this is where we call it interference, and that voice essentially can be put out.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I need you to answer mine.
Yeah, I will answer, but I will answer with a question. What is the voice of the people during election? It is their vote. Every voice counts. But eventually, according to democracy, the majority will have won. The minority will have lost. But still their voice have been there.
Okay, so
and that is the voice of God.
Let's go. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
But for some reason you feel that the voice of God can be gauged and or limited, which I guess maybe the definition of a God that you have is then not all powerful. All right, let's go with that. Now, if you say that the voice of the people is the voice of God, and that is what then should be adhered to, what is wrong with this system that invites international observers, it invites local observers, it invites regional observers to then connect their support to the voice of the people, which by your admission is the voice of God? What's wrong with that? You're calling it interference. I'm asking you, what's wrong with it if you're saying it's the voice of God?
There are two voices in Tanzania. There are those who are saying the election is fair. Of course, there's those who voted. There are those who were in the swearing in of Samia Suluhu. They were saying the election was free and fair. There are those who are saying the election is not free and fair. Majority will have their way. The minority will have had their say. Just the way we did with the BBI, the way we did with other referendums that we have been having in Kenya and any other election that we had in Kenya. Lastly, if somebody feel that our voice was more than the voice of the ones who think that they won, then there is a court process. Because judiciary is there to interpret the law. Who have gone to court?
I want to share something with you, and I think it's very important. The EAC report is actually out. Okay?
Yes.
Now, this is a preliminary statement of the observation mission
of EAC,
East African Community Election Observer Mission, to the October 2025 general election in the United Republic of Tanzania. The United Republic of Tanzania is one of the founding partner states of the East African Community. One of the fundamental principles agreed by the EAC partner states is the Treaty for Establishment of the East African Community in Governance, which includes principles of democracy. It goes on to talk about the establishment and all of this.
So what
it
does
talks
the
about
preliminary report say?
That's what I'm reading. If you give it a minute.
Okay.
The objectives of the EAC Election Observation Mission was to observe the electoral process and offer an impartial, balanced and informed assessment of the electoral processes and procedures in accordance with the laws of Tanzania. On the 22nd of October, the EAC election observers paid a courtesy call to Her Excellency Samia Suluhu, President of the Republic of Tanzania. The mission was grateful and all of these other things. The observations: 1. The mission noted significant legal reforms were introduced in election-related laws. The mission noted that most political parties contesting the general elections committed to an electoral process by signing a common code of conduct. The Electoral Commission noted that the Independent National Electoral Commission made adequate preparation. Since August 2025, when the campaign started, they conducted peace and calm and a peaceful environment that enabled political parties and candidates to campaign freely. They were largely able to campaign peacefully through rallies. They then went on to say that generally polling stations opened on time. However, they noticed that there were delays of up to an hour. They were visited by EAC observers. They were free from visible campaign activities and materials. In all polling stations, materials were present. The majority of the stations were accessible to persons. Security personnel were present at all polling stations. The mission noted that the presence of political party agents and international and domestic observers of the station were visited, which is critical for a transparent polling station. During the special, and we're going to go over time just a little bit, but this is important. However, we observed that at the close of the polls, procedures relating to the custody of the ballot boxes from the special voting until they were counted were not clear. The Independent National Electoral Commission and Zanzibar Electoral Commission were urged to ensure that the handling and custody of ballot boxes from voting was streamlined in future elections. Voting proceeded peacefully, but the voting process was disrupted with incidents of violence witnessed in some areas of Dar es Salaam and Dodoma. In most of the polling stations observed, there were no queues of voters waiting to vote. Observers were not able to observe closing and counting procedures in some of the planned polling stations in some parts of Dar es Salaam due to unrest. In most of the polling stations, polling officers adhered to the closing and counting procedures with or without people present. The mission did not observe the national tallying process of the results, as the mission was not informed of a designated national tallying center. The disruptions of internet connectivity and communication affected the mission's ability and timelines in finalizing the compilation and analysis of the report from observers.
I think if we read that together with SADC, where Tanzania also belongs. And with that...
Anyway, I'm here not as a member of SADC.
No, just the reports that have come from other observers.
But according to that report, which I'm hearing for the first time, because I think the preliminary report...
But you didn't know that it was out.
Must have come out maybe yesterday or today. And according to that report, it is a positive report for the election process in Tanzania. You have read yourself. But we'll still have to debate it in East Africa Legislative Assembly and come up with a report. That is the time that we'll bring the SADC report, we'll bring incidences that we saw in the newspaper, in all these audiovisual media houses, and then we debate in a very independent manner. And that debate will take place probably in Kampala in the next 3 weeks. And then the report now will not be preliminary, but will be a full report.
All right, it's all a wait and see. David Olesankok is a member of Parliament of the East Africa Legislative Assembly, has been our guest this hour. Thank you for being here. At 8:03, good morning.
It is now 8 a.m. with ICEA Lion. It is time to plan ahead with ICEA Lion. What's your plan?
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. As U.S. Vice President D.J. Vance prepares for an official visit to Kenya later this month, survivors of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombing in Nairobi have renewed their appeal for justice and compensation. In a petition to President Ruto and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump, the victims lamented decades of neglect and urged Ruto to champion their cause and raise the issue during Vance's visit. They noted that while American victims were compensated under the U.S. Victims of Terrorism Act, Kenyan survivors and families have never received redress despite years of petitions and legal efforts. The survivors also urged Parliament and the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs to act on the stalled report by the Ad Hoc Parliamentary Committee on Bomb Blast Compensation. Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has called on the IEBC to uphold democracy in the upcoming by-elections. Speaking to journalists, Kioni emphasized the need for the electoral body to regain voter confidence as the country approaches the 2027 general elections. He said Jubilee will be closely monitoring the Commission's preparations, noting that lessons from past elections must guide the process to ensure credible polls.
Na ni vizuri tujulishe Wakenya wote na IEBC ya kwamba the test is not which party wins. These by-elections mean very little to political parties. At least that is a position of duty. But they mean everything to IEBC. We are watching the IEBC. We want to see whether they have learned from the mistakes of the past. Are they prepared to conduct the next general elections? Our eyes are open, our ears are open, and we are looking at them in all ways. But we also know in the past they have conducted by-elections very well, only for them to miss the general elections. This time loud, tuko gagari.
In Kakamega County, Malava returning officer Salim Abdallah has dismissed reports that DCP candidate Edgar Busiega has withdrawn from the upcoming Malava parliamentary by-election, terming the claims as mere rumors. Speaking during a media briefing on the constituency's preparedness for the November 27th by-election, Abdallah said his office has not received any official communication from Busiega or his party regarding the alleged withdrawal. Busiega had previously announced support for DAP Kenya's Seth Panyako to strengthen opposition chances against UDA candidate David Ndakwa.
We have done a candidate registration whereby we came up with the 9 candidates. They are in the race, and I believe behind the works, the printing of ballot papers should be going on. So far, we have not received any candidate who wish to drop out. There's a Form 24A which is supposed to be signed by any candidate who feels like dropping, but as I'm speaking to you right now, none has done that. They had only 3 days from 9th to do that, and now it is beyond time. Whoever wants to drop out right now, you can't do so because your name will still be on the ballot paper.
Kisumu County ODM grassroots leaders called on the party's top leadership to speak in one voice in order to avoid confusion among party supporters as they held a grassroots consultative meeting on Tuesday. They pledged their continued support to the broad-based government in line with the wishes of the departed party leader Raila Odinga.
We have seen instances whereby in the national fora where our honorable members do contradict each other. But I want to urge them as grassroots forces of ODM so that they speak in one voice, so that we don't confuse our members. Because Raila left us in ODM in the broad-based government up to 2027.
In the United States, 7 people were killed when a UPS cargo plane crashed while taking off from an airport in Louisville, Kentucky on Tuesday evening. The state's governor said At least 11 other people were injured when the freight plane exploded as it departed Louisville Mohammed Ali International Airport, sending thick plumes of black smoke into the sky. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said the plane's 3 crew members were likely to be among the dead. Officials warned that people suffered very significant injuries in the incident and the death toll could rise. UPS Flight 2976 bound for Honolulu, Hawaii, was carrying 144,000 liters of fuel when it skidded off the runway in Louisville and struck nearby buildings. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of Wheelbarrow, Mutua Mjengo, Mama Mboga, and all those, that narrative, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
He himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament, so...
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said... The government. Yeah, when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo, ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So and we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 13 minutes after 8 o'clock, and coming in and continuing with Kenya's biggest conversation this Wednesday, the 5th of November. And even as we continue with it, we're going into a little bit more of a succinct political conversation. Our guest is here. We'll tell you just in a minute. But you have a plan for us, don't you, Dennis?
Oh, yes, I do. It's breakfast time now, 8:13, for those who are going to work or are already at work, or you're just at home chilling, you're having your tea with some friends. You'll always hear someone talking about the next investment. Somebody's talking about plans for their future. Somebody's talking about their retirement plans and whatnot. And you're just there with your cup of tea and bread or sausage, and you're wondering, okay, so what's my plan as I'm hearing all these other people talk about theirs? Well, ICEA Lion makes it easy to start. It's never too early or too late to start. So ICEA Lion has a plan for everyone. So what's your plan? Now, we talk about insurance and investment options that help you grow, protect, and plan with confidence. So what does ICEA Lion do? It then comes in and helps you secure your today and build your tomorrow.
There you go. And even as you make those plans for tomorrow, everybody around the country seems to be making plans, whether they're economically or whether they are political plans. And we are joined this hour by the woman rep for Homa Bay County, and she's here with us, Joyce Osogo Bensuda. Everybody says Bensuda. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm quite well. How are you?
Fine.
Very well.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Today is a rare day because there's Dennis to your left, there's Dennis to your right.
I'm telling you.
There's Dennis at your head, there's Dennis at your
I'm telling
foot.
you.
Yeah?
It is Dennis.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
You've told us your dad is Dennis, your son is Dennis.
Yes.
Now these two are here, Dennis. All right. Well, we'll see how we can wade through those waters, Joyce.
So you matter today.
Yes.
The fathers take the lead.
Today you matter.
Yeah.
All right. Karibu sana.
Asante.
As we normally do, Dennis, we'll welcome you to today's proverb. Love to hear your interpretation.
Yeah, our proverb today comes from Mauritania, a country whose population is 5 million and enjoys a GDP of around $12 billion. What pushes the economy majorly is extractive economy, which is the country's rich in iron ore, gold, and also a lot of fishing. You come from the lakeside city, so you know how that pushes the economy, especially of Homa Bay. But let's go to the proverb. The desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path. How would you interpret that?
The desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path. Precisely. I would want to say that, to me, goes on perception, how you perceive an idea differs from how I perceive, differs from how Dennis, my eldest son here, perceives. That is one aspect. Number two, it also goes with attitude. What can be instigated negatively, a negative attitude, could be a positive attitude by the other end. Creating solutions are diverse opinion. So even if there is no road, a road must be found out of where there is no road. A solution must exist where there is no solution.
Okay. The way David said, God will make a way where there seems to be no way.
Correct.
Eldest son Dennis concludes the interpretation.
True.
Yeah, well put, well said, Asante.
Yes.
Indeed. Thank you for coming this morning. We are looking into a number of things. And of course, your party is in the mouths of anybody who is having anything to say politically. In the last month, ever since the passing of Right Honourable Raila Amolo Odinga, and people have been asking which way. Even before this, we did hear your voice in terms of, what ODM must do, even when Baba was here. And now that voice it seems to be louder. There is a party leader who's been confirmed in the person of Oburu Odinga, and we hearing a lot of things in between, who should not do what, who should leave, who should stay. But that the party is who will field a candidate in 2027 also comes in. So maybe somebody can tell us, because it is important in the political landscape, what exactly is going on with ODM? Simply.
I would really want to ask you again to be a little bit very specific, because it's like you've asked so many questions, about 6 questions within a bracket.
Let's go with the last one. What exactly is going on with ODM?
All right. Allow me to say that, first of all, myself, I am a woman representative from Mabay County, duly elected under the party, which is the largest party, Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, which our symbol, of course, is an orange. You know, an orange is holistic. And I want to say, I normally put it very basic. It can be chewed. We can swallow the seeds. We can crack the pills. And also do all the stuff of the starch in it. So it is a complete orange. It is holistic as it is from its shape. ODM, strongest party. I want to say, because based on what you asked, it has always been the loudest. Even when His Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, which before commenting further, even in the studio where we are, we have to observe a minute silence. May the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. I want to say that Jacom reigned. Jacom is still reigning. Jacom will reign. The spirit is there. Allow me, because the question is open and general, so I would comment on anything related to ODM, in my view, in my opinion, in my heart's desire, and what focus we need to spearhead. Allow me to take this juncture to appreciate, thank the President, the people of Kenya, the whole world, for giving Jacom, who was the ODM party leader, an excellent, a sunset, and befitting send-off. And I want to say, the morning is not yet over, and no wonder we still have troops going to Kango, Kajaramogi, to condole with the family. Number 2, I want to say that the ODM had a party leader who was a real father of the nation. And remember, the father also is one of the founding fathers of this nation. I want to say that having inherited many names, Jacom, who is the party leader ODM, was God sent. Sent to an extent that I want to recognize and appreciate Dr. Ida Betty Odinga. As we are mourning Jacom, the kind of inflow at Bondo confirms that Mama Dr. Ida Betty Odinga is not a simple woman. Otherwise, people will not walk to her home. That means she's also a woman, a mother, a leader of high integrity. Having sustained all the battles, the barriers that Jacom underwent, and she has remained firm and strong, allow us to continue praying for her. Let us learn something from the party leaders, children and family. Strong, composed, consolidated. I'm just giving these preambles because I will link to what kind of leaders we want this nation to have, and particularly emanating from ODM. That is why I've saluted the family, recognized and honored. I want to say that really in a house, in a family, in a farm, people are so many, with different attitudes, different perceptions, different thoughts, different ways of viewing things, interpreting, different quest and focus. ODM has existed. I joined in ODM. I was nominated. I want to say that ODM has its party structures. I want that as ODM, we have our leaders who are at the central committee level. Very clear structures. The party leader, the chairperson, who is of course my governor, Excellency Honorable Gladys Atino Nyasunawanga. We have our Secretary General, who is Edwin Sifuna. And there are so many, the Women League, the Youth League, even up to county level and grassroots level. That confirms the structures of ODM. I want to say that we are led and given direction as members, as delegates within ODM. And I want to say that despite the fact that structures are there, doesn't deter somebody from his own entitled opinion that can be brought on the table for discussion.
Okay.
I want to say, in any party, in any family, in any organization, you cannot miss a point of confusion. I want to say that in any organization, you can't miss people with independent interests. You cannot miss people who have interest for the wider group. But all this joined together, we look into how we can strengthen the party.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to that question, because what's going on? Because we hear a number of things. Senator Buru said the other day, he basically said, for the things that seem to be causing some kind of friction, just let these things play out. People who are young in the party, he mentioned Babu Owino, he mentioned Edwin Sifuna, and he said, just allow things, because we're going to see how it works. This is said to be coming against voices who said, no, we are broad-based and we are going to stick in the broad-based government, and this is what Baba wanted. What's going on? Is it sticking with the broad-based, or is it finding its own path?
I would want to request you, if you have that clip, when we were holding the ODM PG meeting. Because when we are discussing and engaging, even Kenyans need to be reminded. If you had that clip, you would quickly play the last PG meeting, Baba's speech. It was very, very clear. So, to me, as Honorable Dr. Joyce Atino Sogo Bensouda, there is even nothing to push over. It was very clear in our PG meeting. That is point number one. Baba gave clear direction, explained the purpose as to why we are in broad-based, explained the reasons as to why we got into broad-based. Baba was very clear that this country was going to burn. Baba was very clear that he did wider consultations across the country. Baba was very clear that the Gen Zs had to be listened to. Baba was very clear that this country required inclusivity, which he has always fought for. Baba has always fought for equity, inclusivity, democracy, equitable distribution of resources. This country had to remain as one. And it is not on one occasion. In all his fight for justice, Honorable the Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, has always fought for justice of this country, peace for this nation. And he has always mentioned, he had always been consistent. This country is bigger than one individual person.
But Bensouda, there's some who will disagree. Well, rest in peace, Baba.
Yes.
But a lot of people disagreed with him on that. And the people who went to the streets last year and part of this year were pretty much young people, the Gen Z generation.
Absolutely.
They even told Baba, stay at home.
That is
You
true.
fought for us for far too long. Let this be our fight now.
Yes.
And Baba said, okay, fine, go ahead. He didn't go to the streets.
Yes.
Baba never stepped to the streets.
True, I agree.
So as they were agitating for, from last year, from the finance bill, up to the point where now we had this broad-based arrangement, is it fair then to say to these young people, to tell them, look, I joined government under this broad-based arrangement so that the country can be united, so that the country can be can have peace? Is that a fair statement?
The fairness varies, in my own opinion. Remember, even when there was the cabinet dismantle and reorganization of the cabinet, the minister who is the CS who is in charge for water is a youth. The Luo Nyanza, CS Mbadi, who is understanding what national treasury is, was brought into the docket. We have Coast, Ali Hassan Joho. We have Western, CS Oparanya. We have other quarters of other tribes. I'm just saying those who came in under this broad-based arrangement. And so far, they are performing well.
So how did the
how
did the admission of these individuals you've just mentioned into cabinet answer to the questions that took these young people to the streets last year?
Let me go back. When the Gen Zs were on the street, just beginning with the finance bill, they were demanding for justice. During that era, there were some killings which had taken place in the past in terms of demonstrations. They were also talking about the high cost of living. They were also talking about the need to be listened to.
Good governance.
Good governance. They were talking about issues of unemployment. And remember the X-Space conversation.
Yes.
Where they even called that President Ruto to attend by himself, which of course, I congratulate him because he attended, but I think the discussion did not take place. He waited.
Oh, he did.
He did. At some point.
Yep.
But at some point, the discussion they didn't take, because there are times he waited, and there's a day that he waited, but it didn't succeed. But he was asked questions, and many questions. The engagement in the X-Space. Now, when you looked at the Gen Z's anger, I think as a country, we took too long to wait for the finance bill to come so that we listen to the Gen Zs. In leadership, we have to own our mistakes, learn from them, establish those gaps, and see how we can change and improve and incorporate the opinion so that this country is holistic. And those are some of the things that his prime minister was fighting for.
So do you believe...
You asked a question.
Yes.
Whether I believe the broad-based arrangement addressed Gen Z's issues. I want to say that first and foremost, it did indirectly because this country had to stay united. We could not keep on fighting our children, young children, being killed on the street. I remember, if you rewind, there are some cases where even Baba, before the Gen Zs demonstrated, stop killing our children. That was very clear. I even remember there's a time that he stated during our demonstrations, Kome akome. You remember that statement?
Yes.
Kome akome. So I want to say that in his wisdom, Baba was looking broadly on what tough decisions we could take as a country. Of course, the broad-based arrangement, from the time that it started, it was not embraced by everyone. It was not. That is the reality that everybody knows in the country. But gradually, when we see the fruits of what is taking place, there are some areas in this country that had never gotten the share of even tarmac roads. Me, I want to say, for example, from Moma Bay, where I come from, we talk of Madaraka, which we saw because of this broad-based arrangement. And Madaraka came with dwelling of the roads. We can have now Kabunde being done. Not only that, but when we look into other areas, we see modern markets, we see this equity. So it is gradual. I know from what the president has been saying, the country had been undergoing difficult economic hard times. But we need to make efforts as a country. That doesn't give us excuse. We need to make efforts as a country on what strategies we are going to continuously improve on to ensure that Gen Z's concerns are addressed.
In the broad-based arrangement,
Yes.
there were 10-point agendas
Yes.
and the implementation of the same.
Yes.
And ODM has continuously said we are in broad-based and until 2027, with the 10-point agenda being the focal point within which we need to ensure that everything that is stated is implemented. In the event that the agendas have not been implemented, will ODM walk out of the broad-based arrangement even before 2027?
I would not want to say that it would work out because it is very clear. I'd requested you that you play the video of Baba's speech. Even all these questions you are asking, if that speech is played, it answers all your questions. Are we in 2027 and beyond? The video answers. Are we staying in broad-based? The video answers. Are we in government? The video answers. What arrangement do we have? Baba was clear, very clear. We are in broad-based and a 10-point agenda, as you have put it, up to 2027. This country has very clear structures of after every 5 years, we go for election as a country. And so you are the Kenyan who will decide. I am the Kenyan who will decide. All of us here are the Kenyans who will decide.
Okay. Is Kenya reaping the fruits of the broad-based government? You mentioned roads and things like that now because others have been taken into consideration. But let's look at the things that Kenyans complained about that took them to the streets. The finance bill was the tip of the iceberg, whereby they said, well, here's an opportunity for us to really express what we are concerned about. You know, Kenyans talked over and over again about poor governance, about lack of accountability, about crippling debt, about, you know, mismanagement and misappropriation, about corruption, about disappearances and forced disappearances and extrajudicial killing. Talked about all of these things. So the question remains that coming into the broad base, for which we get it, that we come 2027, it could be a totally different thing. But if truly, like you said, the broad-based government was designed to bring this unrest to a halt, did it address the issues that started in the first place?
I want to say that as a professional career educator, I would rate the implementation and achievement of broad-based so far where we are at 30%. That is my own honest opinion. 30%.
And you can't really do anything with 30%, can you?
In terms of governance, corruption, unemployment, and what have you. Disappearances and what have you. These things, we see them on media. We live with people in the society. We have children we have given birth to. But the 30%, what has been achieved in my own analysis, in my own scoring, I would say it is better than from zero where we were. One, I would say that across the counties, you'll find at least some in housing and infrastructure. I am not supporting, you know, there are two things here. There is broad-based and there is political party. Political party, UDA remains UDA. ODM remains ODM.
Okay.
Broad-based brings the two parties together under the arrangement which was signed. That is where we are. But in terms of implementation, because I'm part of this broad-based at the moment, the speed with which it is being implemented needs to be adjusted so that we think through that in governance. For example, there is privatization bill which came. If this can make employment opportunities to be increased for our youths, the industries that we're having that are dormant, if the government can revive them.
Because two political parties came together, now a government would do what it's meant to do constitutionally anyway.
I agree.
Why wouldn't they do that before?
I agree. And I'm asking, because you asked since we joined into the broad-based, where are we? Where are we? Where are we is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And I've started by scoring
30%.
30%, which means we still have 70%. What am I trying to say?
What makes up that 30%?
What makes the 30% is the number of roads so far. that have been launched
since June 2024.
Because I know we have engagements at times, and we ask and we call the ministers to Parliament to answer to our questions. There's been a problem with contractors pending bills, which a framework was told to us by Honorable CS Chirchir that they are working on so that contractors can go on road. In regard to Homa Bay, I know that we have a ring road in Mfangano, we have a ring road in we have another road in Karachuonyo. There are some roads which were open during Madaraka. If you go to Homa Bay from Homa Bay town, when I went back yesterday, in fact, yesterday I was in Homa Bay, but one, I saw now the contractor is on road. That's what I'm saying. The pace of the work is slow, and that's why, in terms of infrastructure, I've rated at 30%.
But I'm sorry, but I have to insist on this point.
Yes.
Because like these roads that you've given examples of, they're in Homa Bay.
Because I come from Homa Bay, so they're at my fingertips.
Okay, so you can see them.
I can see them.
Not that they're in a particular
but others
area.
Are also there, but they are told to us. Are you getting that?
Okay.
I've traveled to Thika Road.
Okay.
You go there, you will find super highway roads.
But that was there with Kibaki.
I know. That's a point I'm bringing. And therefore I'm saying we now need equity.
Okay.
And that is what is taking place. That is what President Ruto is trying to do. That is the point I'm bringing.
Okay.
In fact, when I went those sides of, if you take this road to Thika Road and other places, there are some roads you don't even believe you're in Kenya. Super. So we want this in Turkana, we want them Trans Nzoia, we want them where, so that there is equity. I'm not only talking about that when things go to Homa Bay, that is when broad-based is functioning. 47 counties. So I'm saying the pace is not as fast as we think, and time is not on our side. Remember, we are left with 2 years and some few months. So if implementation of what was agreed on is to be done, then much more energy, much more vigor, much more resources must be put. That is on just infrastructure example. When I come to abductions and killings, even yesterday over the news, you saw the civil society who are talking about
Bob Njeri and Nicholas Oyo.
So these are the things that we should move with speed as a country. Gen Zs are complaining. I know that compensation was supposed to take place. So we are saying this, the broad-based arrangement is okay. It has no death of the political parties in it. UDA just to strengthen their party. ODM must strengthen their party.
Okay, let's talk about ODM. Let's come back to ODM.
Yes.
And there's a story here, and it's been carried in the daily since Monday. Since the acting party leader, Oburu Oginga, talked about the structured cooperation with UDA and in the broad-based arrangement. So there's division within the party, and in this sense, whether to support President William Ruto's administration unconditionally, or attach a set of political demands ahead of 2027 general election. So there's one faction within ODM that is arguing that the party has been orphaned, okay, and should therefore fully cooperate and unconditionally back President Ruto to safeguard development gains within the ODM bastions. However, there's another group within ODM that is insisting that any form of support must come with clear political guarantees, including key government positions and protection of ODM's political identity. There are those who are saying, look, if we then have a deputy president in 2027 backing Ruto, then we will consider. Then there's another faction that does not totally agree with this broad-based arrangement, does not agree with what UDA and ODM are working on. So with these fractions within ODM, just take us through the conversations within the party with all these different ideas ahead of 2027 election.
One, I would say that I don't want to get into the faction. I want to talk because I've gotten the idea, what you want me to unpack.
Yes.
I would want to say that whoever is opposing the broad-based government now, and now that Jacom is not with us, is not sincere. Because this broad-based was existing even before Jacom left us. And this broad-based has to go up to 2027. And I want to categorically say that we must not confuse our people. Jacom was very clear that this broad-based arrangement is up to 2027. And this was in the public domain. We must not confuse the Kenyans. This broad-based arrangement is supposed to implement the 10-point agenda, which was under the memorandum signed in the public at KICC. We need not to confuse Kenyans. That is my stand on broad-based. Number two, I want to say that all leaders, including His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Kenyans elected him to serve the Kenyans, regardless of who voted for him or not. So as Kenyans, we have a right of whether those who voted for him or not, he must serve all Kenyans. That is his duty. So this business of confusing Kenyans, that they are not, why are we concentrating on election, yet Kenyans are looking for services?
This is the thing that we need you to tell us.
To me, no, I'm talking as Bensouda now.
Yeah.
Because when we talk as a party, ODM, we talk under a voice that is agreed and directed. And that is why I'm very categorical. What I've said about the broad-based arrangement up to 2027 is a voice from the party leader, His Excellency Right Honorable Prime Minister. What I'm now talking about as a leader elected, it is time to work for Kenyans. What is this business of hell of a lot of politicking? We want to do the roads. We want to ensure health hospitals are having need. So we support the president to implement his agenda.
So Bensouda, just a quick one, because you've talked about you've talked about disallowing confusion, because there is what Prime Minister Raila Odinga had said, the arrangement of broad-based up to 2027. The acting party leader, Oburu Oginga, hinted, and this is through a local TV interview, hinted that ODM will only support Ruto's 2027 re-election bid if the Orange Party is assured of at least deputy president slot.
Political parties exist so that you defend your people, you get the power, and you also provide services to the people. First of all, even allow me to congratulate our new party leader. Very wise. Very, very wise. Since he started acting, to me, I think he's just full. He's guiding us. He's fatherly. He has the wisdom. He has always been there for us. And you can see the work that he's doing. When he says that we are supporting the president on condition that at least the bare minimum that we can get
is deputy president.
Yes. We have also supported him. This is ODM. This is a party.
So if he does that...
So when Uhuru says it is bargaining power...
So if he does that, let's just assume Ruto decides Bensouda will be my deputy, for example.
Yeah.
Are you then saying that ODM then is going to support his re-election past 2027?
We are not saying that because even as a party within its own structure, party alone cannot elect President Ruto. It is the Kenyans who are electing President Ruto.
No, party endorsement. That's what I mean.
What I'm saying...
is ODM then going to endorse his candidature if he says, fine, I either want Bensouda to be my deputy because you are from ODM?
We have not said that. Even the party leader, Dr. Buru, has not said that. He has not mentioned that.
No, he said the bare minimum here will be nothing lower than number 2.
And that is what I'm answering by saying, you must have your bargaining powers. We cannot know whether on private areas or levels, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, because he's a candidate, he's also a president. He would want to do his 2 terms like any other president. We don't know whether he has given a private consultation. But as a leader, even myself, when I go back to the village, which is normal, it's not even a question of private. When I go, even when I was serving by people, I serve them and I request them, please, when it comes to 2027, ensure that you re-elect me. It is not wrong for President Ruto to ask for a re-election.
Okay. So we have the 10-point agenda, which is the focal point, which has brought about the broad-based government.
Yes.
But you look at everything that is under the 10-point agenda, and a Kenyan would look at it and say, these are things that the government ought to do anyway.
Yes.
There was no need of ODM getting into broad-based government, but we find ourselves here. So then how then is ODM in government with UDA and supporting all the agenda of UDA, or is ODM still an opposition party checking the government excesses and ensuring that services are delivered to Kenyans?
I want to answer that by asking, I wish I knew that question was there. I would have carried my clip. There was a time, I don't like mentioning people's names at times because they need their respect. Before we got into broad-based arrangement, myself personally in Parliament, I said that President Ruto is not performing well because of the kind of leaders around him. Especially by the time that we were coming up with implementation of CBC. That thing completely defeated CS Machogu. That is just one to mention. I told him some of the cabinet you are having, they are not worth it. So personally, as Honorable Bensouda, when I saw the reshuffling and I bring in Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, bring in CS Mbadi specifically, we see professionals, we see some energy. And Dr. William Samoei Ruto is also energetic. Actually, the truth is he's an intelligent person. That is the truth. But you can be intelligent, but you cannot run the whole county alone. You cannot run all the ministry. You need thorough people who are your wings to ensure governance, good leadership, transparency and accountability. So the truth is the government was failing. That is the truth. And I still stand on that. And even that's why I'm saying in my rating for broad-based, I'm rating it at 30%. Because now it's like we are now moving on. We can see some stadiums, we can see the roads, we can see the markets. But what I'm saying, the speed is a bit slow. Even youth unemployment in this country is a serious issue. That is the truth. Youth unemployment. So when we talk about privatizing some industries, I want it to move with speed so that at least we have even only 1,000 youths employed in industries and factories in all our 47 counties. That is what I'm saying. There is a bit that I still wanted to say about what you read, but I think you brought in another question, the faction of supporting, the faction not supporting.
And the faction that does not support any of these
I think that one, they are going anti the will of Prime Minister. That is the truth. But they have their democratic right, which must be respected. Democratic right of each individual. I know the confusion, which is natural. People are also looking for their spaces. Dennis wants to be what? You want to be what? Bensouda wants to be what? And these are the things when we consolidate together, it's confusing the Kenyans. So I would want to use this opportunity to request that we must strengthen our party as ODM. We must support Dr. Oburu Odinga. There is no political party which can run without focus. And that is why we are saying, and that is why even Dr. Oburu said the bare minimum. So if President Ruto wants us to support him, we must also work, he must know that also our party, ODM, it is a strong party. And that is the truth. And issues of politics and issues of numbers. Yes. So I want to believe if these structures are respected, to me, the concentration of ODM in wherever positions they are, they must serve the Kenyans.
Broad-based government notwithstanding, in terms of whether, that 10-point agenda, which is what formed the operations for it, will actually be achieved is a big question. But then let's just look at the logistics of it. If we go by that last public statement that Honorable Raila Odinga made about ODM's position, if it stays in broad-based until 2027 and is also going to field a candidate in the election 2027, logistically, how would that work out? In broad-based and then elections and then campaigning? How would that, I'm just asking a puzzle question. How would that really work?
That's a very good question. Actually, what he's even said, we shall be advised when we reach there. As Bensouda, I cannot advise ODM from one voice. He was categorical. We shall be advised. Actually, even made two statements. Who told you that ODM will not be in the ballot? Those are his words, not my words. You play that video, you'll find it. Who told you? You wait until we give you advice.
Okay, so let's just think. You said that you were speaking as Bensouda. Okay, so now think as Bensouda. Think practically.
Yeah.
So let's assume that come 2027, that ODM will field a presidential candidate.
Definitely.
Okay. How will it work? Campaigning, for example, if you're still in broad-based.
Definitely, I would want to tell you we are in 2025. We would be given direction if Raila was alive. Dr. Buru is equal to the task. He will still give us direction. ODM Central Committee is not dead, it is existing. Structures of ODM are alive. I want to believe that we shall still be given direction. There is no election that we shall approach and near without clear direction. Definitely what you are asking is fundamental. If we have to appear on the ballot, if we have to propose a candidate, the logistics of campaign, they will give us direction at the right time. And when Baba was talking like that, we do not know the level of his preparedness.
I'm sorry, Bensouda.
Allow me to conjoin with this kindly.
Perhaps it will help you do that because you've said very clearly that two things can be true, right? But those two things in their truth cannot be possible. If you say you remain in broad-based until 2027, an election will happen in August 2027. And we're saying that it's possible that ODM could field a presidential candidate in 2027. Logistically, does it make sense that you remain in broad-based until 2027? Or are we playing numbers with math and the months here? How will you remain in broad-based and still have the possibility of fielding a presidential candidate come 2027? It's the 1+1 that I'm looking at here.
I want to believe that you've been in Kenya here for several elections, and many times you've seen several coalitions. Coalitions are built under pressures of political parties. And I want to say that since these are two different parties, as we progress and we engage as a party, I cannot decide on behalf of the party. The possibility of us being in broad-based, not the possibility of us being, the possibility of us exiting broad-based, for now, it is not there. We are in broad-based because that is what we signed.
Even if the 10-point agenda that you've agreed is not implemented, you'll still be in broad-based government.
You know.
Or would you walk out if you feel like, or you see that the implementation
in a
is
party
not
there is consultation. We have consistent and steady consultation. How many times did the late Prime Minister walk out from other political arrangements? How many times?
Okay.
Yeah. But I cannot speak as an individual when it comes to such magnitude of party decisions, because even we were guided that time by party leader himself. So who am I as Bensouda to start saying that we shall walk out? We shall consult.
But it's an option on the table as well?
We shall consult. Okay. In any political party, you must have even more than 10 options. We can walk out, we can stay, we can support, we can come into a coalition. Even I've heard keenly those who have always been talking. It's not only one. We shall be part of the government. We shall form part of the government. There is nothing wrong with spearheading and saying that you must be on the front line. Any other child would want to be number one. Why would ODM want to be number two?
How is ODM dealing with the internal wrangles for those who are anti-broad-based, there are those who say we are pro-broad-based? How is the party, if you have the information on how it is working towards ODM unity beyond even 2027?
There has been a consultation where they sit down and they talk. And I think from Dr. Buru's statement, he said that the wrangles which are there, we cannot say that they are not there. But we shall be handling them with the time. Even when it came to party leader, when he was being endorsed, I think somebody asked that now, where are you taking the Luos? He confirmed that people have been asking him, where are you people taking us? At this time, if at all you will not be there tomorrow, Jacom is not there tomorrow, who will be the champion? The kingpin of whatever. But he responded very nicely as a wise man. In fact, that is the day I confirmed even more of his wiseness. You don't have to elect a kingpin. A kingpin emerges like a mushroom. That is where I am. In business, we don't campaign for kingpins. It emerges. You remember how Joseph now was the one who was appointed? It's not by killing people and hanging their clothes. Giving clothes and smearing blood on others. It emerges. I always believe that whoever God has anointed stands.
There are people within your party who have said openly that they have declared their and transferred rather all their allegiance, essentially all the allegiance that they held for Raila Odinga to William Ruto within your party. The same sentiments are upheld by some within the party who are in government, who have said, so you can be talking about dates of 2027, but for them, their allegiance wholeheartedly is placed.
I want to categorically say
they're in the ODM party. So
yes.
Do we have a split screen of ODM?
Yes, no, that's not a split. Categorically, those who are absorbed in the government and they are in ODM, you are in executive. You cannot serve the legislature. You serve the executive. And who is your boss in the executive? Even all these CSS appointments, the PSS appointments, those who are appointed who come from ODM, they must support the government. And their boss is President Ruto. There's nothing wrong with that.
Do they represent the position of the party?
They have to do the work they are employed to do, not the work of ODM. Now that is ours, which is legislation. But there are those also we admit. Let us just be plain. There's somebody who can just talk probably. Either somebody wants allegiance because there are some weaknesses which he or she understands. There is sycophancy in leadership. There is lack of honesty in leadership. There are people also who have their own very deep agenda.
Are some of those people within the ODM party who you're expecting to be one party held together? These things that you talk about.
In any organization, you don't miss sycophants. That is obvious. You don't miss pretenders. You don't meet people who are not honest. But in all this, Baba cushioned everybody. It doesn't mean that when Baba was alive, we didn't have such kind of people. That is why, as a leader, we need somebody very wise. Somebody who can hold hands of everybody in their weaknesses. So that is why I'm saying we have very short time to achieve 10-point agenda.
Some of them have sworn allegiance to William Ruto until 2032 within the party, who is under the leadership still of the edict made by Raila Odinga.
Because of their interpretation of what broad-based is. And that's why I said that people have different opinion in anything. This phone is rectangular.
Okay.
When I ask you, you might tell me it is square. You might tell me it is oval. So it depends on how you view things.
And you could be wrong.
In your heart, when I say that so-and-so is very good, you can say the person is good, but in your heart, you know the person is bad. So there's a lot of dishonesty also amongst people. That one you don't rule out. But my urge is that we must consolidate ODM as a party. We must operate under the structures of ODM. We must respect the voice of the party leader and the conclusion which he gave at the PG meeting. Okay. As members of ODM, we must listen to what our leaders whom we are having are telling us in terms of direction, in terms of consultation, in terms of how we'll vote, in terms of how we'll operate. Because not only at the top level that we require leadership, we'll require governors. It does not mean that when we are in broad-based, ODM will not be fighting to have more governors, more MPs, more senators, more women reps. Because you have the numbers, you have the power.
Joyce Osogo Bensuda is the Homa Bay woman representative, and she's been here with us this morning. Looking at the intrigues of the party, two things have been clear. We're there till 2027, and we want to make sure that the broad base goes from 30% at least 50, maybe, by 2027?
From the pace that I see things are happening, because even myself, I want to ask, in fact, allow me to use this opportunity to request Dr. William Samoei Ruto. There are requests I made to him at State House in Kisumu. School bus. That is my home school. I'm requesting him this morning. The school bus for George Agolo War. I need it because I'm representing people. There are markets I requested which he confirmed that he would give me. Now this one I'm taking advantage. Sikwa the market in Ndewa. That's why I'm rating this at 30. I had my reasons for rating this thing at 30%.
If he gives the school bus on the markets, the rating will go up?
This is for women rep. Women rep. Yes. Women rep in only 2 constituencies. Then in Pala Market in North Karachuonyo. Okay. So we cannot talk of something and it takes too long before implementation. So this is just one over hundreds of thousands of leaders who are having requests. So let us try and move very fast in this broad-based implementation so that we achieve at least the MOU at even 60%. Because we even know the country is constrained. And we are not Jesus to perform miracles.
Absolutely. Bensouda Asante Sana. Thank you for being here this morning.
I think if we work like that, but allow me to call upon all leaders, let us serve this country. If we emulate the way in which His Excellency Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga was doing his politics, it was not hate, it was not chest thumping, it was not fighting, it was not abusing people. What he fought for was justice, democracy, peace, equity. I want to encourage Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto. He is very intelligent. And now that he has foot soldiers who are intelligent around him, let him make use of the ODM fraternity and also make use of his people so that we deliver the services to the Kenyans as much as possible. Thank you so much. I love Homa Bay County and I thank them always for being with me. I'll stand with them and I'll diligently serve them. I'm also telling them I'm requesting for re-election 2027. So when ODM requests for anything, there is nothing wrong.
Thank you very much, Bensouda Joyce Asongo, Woman Rep, Homa Bay County. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too.
And I invite you to Homa Bay County.
We shall come.
Thank you.
It's a few minutes past 9. Good morning.
Asante sana.
It is now 9 a.m. with ICEA Lion. Insurance and investment made simple for people like you, courtesy of ICEA Lion.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Asma of Morocco is expected to visit the Kenyatta National Hospital today, a day after she landed in Kenya. Writing on X, First Lady Rachel Ruto said she was honored to host the princess, adding that her visit reflects their shared commitment to initiatives that uplift communities, particularly in the areas of health, education and child empowerment. Princess Lala will witness a cochlear implant program at KNH and sign a memorandum of understanding to strengthen cooperation in hearing health. Her visit to KNH comes 2 days after a team of Moroccan surgeons arrived in Nairobi for a week-long medical mission at the facility. The land fraud case against Juja MP George Koimburi is expected to resume today at the Milimani Court. Last month, the court adjourned the case to allow all accused persons to appear in court. Koimburi and his co-accused, Shelmith Karunguri, are facing charges of conspiring to defraud a landowner of a parcel of land valued at 10 million shillings in Juja, Kiambu County. The duo, who've denied the charges, allegedly forged ownership documents to transfer the property. The third accused, lawyer Githi Irungu, is yet to take plea. Police in Nairobi have launched an investigation following the discovery of the body of a 52-year-old man in his house in Dandora. Oliver Kamau was found lying unresponsive by a relative who'd visited him on Monday afternoon. Police say the deceased was assaulted by unknown assailants as the body had injuries to the head and stomach. The body was discovered Nairobi Police Boss George Seta said they were pursuing leads on the motive and those behind the suspected murder. As U.S. Vice President DJ Vance prepares for an official visit to Kenya later this month, survivors of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombing in Nairobi have renewed their appeal for justice and compensation. In a petition to President Ruto and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump, the victims lamented decades of neglect and urged Ruto to champion their cause and raise the issue during Vance's visit. They noted that while American victims were compensated under the U.S. Victims of Terrorism Act, Kenyan survivors and families have never received redress despite years of petitions and legal efforts. The survivors also urged Parliament and the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs to act on the stalled report by the Ad Hoc Parliamentary Committee on Bomb Blast Compensation. In Tanzania, a number of Kenyans living there say they've experienced increased monitoring, intimidation, and in some cases detention without cause. A Kenyan researcher based in Arusha who requested anonymity for fear of reprisal recounted being arrested and detained for 5 hours at the Babati police station in Manyara region despite holding valid immigration documents. He said President Samia's recent proclamation blaming foreigners for the post-election violence had worsened hostility against Kenyans. Another Kenyan has reportedly been in police custody since Sunday. His friends say he was on his way to work driving a company car when security officers stopped him at a roadblock and arrested him. The U.S. is working with other nations to end the conflict in Sudan, the White House said on Tuesday, after reports of mass killings during the fall of a city to paramilitary forces last week. The Rapid Support Forces capture of Al-Fashia, the Sudanese army's last holdout in Darfur, marked a milestone in the African country's civil war, giving the paramilitary group de facto control of more than a quarter of the territory. International Criminal Court prosecutors said on Monday they are collecting evidence of alleged mass killings and rapes in Al-Fashia. Hundreds of civilians and unarmed fighters may have been killed during the city's fall, the UN's Human Rights Office said on Friday. That's the News Wire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We're coming into it this morning. It's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we continue with the conversations on the Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Yes, quite a Wednesday morning it has been, and we're going into green. And folks say that, you can't talk anything without going green. And some of those conversations today, very, very pertinent to the situations happening in the country today. Our guest is here to tell you about that in just a second. But you said we have a plan, Dennis.
Oh, yes, because life comes in stages. And so in life, you must make plans. Otherwise, you will end up living a very, very, very messed up life. So with life coming in stages, there was a point where you're looking for a job. Then you got a job. Then there's a point you got your first salary. Then you started planning for your salary. Then there's a point you started investing or saving. There is a point when you start thinking, okay, now maybe I need to get married. Okay, maybe I need to have a child. All these are plans. Then one day, you sit back and you're thinking, wait a minute, I need to plan for my retirement. And the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind for your children and those who are dependents. Now, wherever you are in life this morning, ICEA Lion has a plan for you. From saving in a money market fund to securing your family's future with insurance. Because planning ahead isn't just for some, it's for everyone. ICEA Lion helping you protect, grow, and plan for life's every stage.
Indeed. And even as we get into that conversation, that is a very necessary one for us to have this morning. Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. We insist on the green, and you're going to tell us a little bit about that, because folks think we just call you Green because, but you actually had green put into your name.
Yes.
But before we go, good morning.
And thank you for having me here. Good morning, Du and team. You guys are the unsung heroes in this country. You keep doing things that really mesmerize many and transform lives. So keep up. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
You. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very encouraging to hear that. It's been a while since we had a conversation with you. But you know what? Things happen every now and then in the country. Then we need to then dig deep and bring folks who've been along the line for us to have that conversation, for us to understand what we're doing, where we've come from, and where we are going. So that we'll talk about in just a bit. But Dennis will welcome you with today's proverb.
Yes, today we are in Mauritania, a country that is rich in extractive industry. So one would talk about iron ore, gold, copper. They're also big on fish and livestock. But that notwithstanding, the high unemployment rate in the country still continues to be high. The country is being rated as being one of the poorest countries in the continent. And one would have hoped that with all the resources that they have, perhaps the country would be much better, but it's a story of many African countries. But the proverb we get from Mauritania, the desert has no road. Every traveler makes his own path. How would you interpret that?
A common problem. And what an opportunity that you have to make a path in life. But for you to make a path, you must know where you're going. Unless you know where you're headed to, any path, any desert will remain an open, large road. Create a path, understand where you're coming from, where you're headed to where you're headed to, why you exist, and the desert will become such a minimal space, and the road will be so clear.
Wait. I know. Yo. Well said, well put.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Quite so. Well, let's jump into it, Doc.
And thank you, Du. Last time I was here, man, your show went viral everywhere. I keep finding people talking to me as if they listened to it yesterday.
There you go. Well, look,
I just can't believe it.
We ponying up the questions, but then the folks come in here and then they give the responses. So that's all about you. And here we are able to do that again. So thanks for lending a voice to this conversation. It's a pertinent one. So let's look a few years back when a logging ban was imposed. And that meant, essentially, that trees would not be cut down for a particular period of time in order to protect the environment, but also to ensure that there was enough tree cover. And there were certain gains that were to be made from that. And we can look into some of those. So maybe you can explain to us the rationale behind that ban. But then most recently, we've seen that that ban has been lifted and that logging is once again allowed in different parts of the country. I don't know if there's caveats to that, but it's going to be clearly allowed again. Is this scary?
I thank you for this question, very profound. And particularly now, I pick it on what we have just talked about, that we are in a desert and it is for us to create a road. So therefore, let me create the road here. There is nothing wrong in logging. There is nothing wrong in doing business of furniture. there is nothing wrong in creating employment opportunities. Nothing absolutely wrong. The how is what matters. And for you to understand the how, you need to know where we are at. 80% of Kenyans, that is 1 in every 8 people, or 1 in 8 in 80% generally, that, let me put it that way, live around water resources, live around ecosystems where there is water, where Kenyans can be able to have plantations for food, and they can be able to have their livelihoods around that. That's all. 80% of our Kenyans live there. That means water is very important. That means livelihoods are very important to sustain. That means that we must do much, much more. At the same time, we need to balance, because this is jobs and our rivers. That is what we need to balance. Now, let's go back to other facts. The forest cover in our country has been said between 8.8, 7.6. Let me put it at 7.9, based on the average of what has been announced at different spaces and times. And therefore, you get to find that we need a lot more of forest cover. If 80% of our people, Kenyans, are living around those ecosystems, then we go back to the other side of balancing things, which means we need to understand how much timber do we need to be able to feed as sustainable livelihoods in terms of this. And I'll try to make this interesting, because when we talk about trees, it's very easy for people not to get it right, because I just want to create a link between our livelihoods and what we are talking about. It's not just trees, it's about the livelihoods. It's about a security issue for our country. So, Kenya can produce, or has the capacity, or is expected to produce at least 51% or cubic meters of timber or wood for it, million cubic meters to produce. We are currently producing, that is the estimated, what can be
potential.
The potential.
51 million cubic meters. Okay.
That is what is needed to have a sustainable field in that space.
Okay.
And then we are producing about 31 million currently.
Okay.
Okay. So there is a shortfall between the 31 million and the 50-something million, which is the 10 million cubic meters. That is a shortfall. Now, where do we get the shortfall for us to call this business sustainable?
Okay.
And where are the trees to be logged? Currently, the trees to be logged are inside forests. So when we talk about forest cover, we are also counting those trees that are out there. What does that mean? Trees have been planted in plantations like Shimba Hills, which is a double gazetted forest, means it is under Kenya Forest Service as a forest, and at the same time it is under the Kenya Wildlife Service for keeping animals and our wildlife.
Okay.
Of course, it's very well protected, because now it's a national wildlife space.
Okay.
The trees that were planted there as plantations have since grown to become a habitat for our animals, and therefore you cannot remove them. The same thing replicates itself around Mount Kenya region, where Mount Kenya is also gazetted as Kenya Wildlife Service space, and it is also a forest. There are trees that have been grown in that area that are supposed to be harvested when the time comes to harvest this. Okay? Now, what does this mean to the common man to understand what the logging means? The regeneration is what has been happening over the years for the trees.
Regeneration.
Okay? And if what has that regeneration done, away from the example that I've given towards the trees becoming a natural habitat for animals? It has since become a soil retainer. it has since become and created a lot of protection and creating microclimates around those areas, so that the more the rain, the more the food, the more the livelihoods and every other activities. If logging is done unsustainably, we are going to lose a lot of soil, a lot of erosion is going to happen, and therefore rainfalls are going to change, and therefore so many other activities are going to happen that are negative to the environment. Why is it therefore important for us to think about this, and how can we think about it in the best way possible? One, there is an opportunity. The entire area that is called Kenya Forest Service is lying within about 2.9 million hectares. Those are the 380 some, less than 400 forests that are under Kenya Forest Service. About 400. And there are more that are not yet gazetted. You remember when I used to be the Kenya Forest, when I used to be Kenya Water Towers Agency chair, we also brought out more additional forests that are supposed to be gazetted, more than 100 and something. Okay, so Kenya Forest Service is in charge of 2.9 hectares, which are the 386 forests, as if you may. Kenya Wildlife Service, on the other side, of course, is in charge of about 29 wildlife spaces that they have, and then we have another 33 that are managed under the county governments. Now, we have an opportunity here, and I like looking at life with opportunities that are going to create opportunities for the Kenyans and their livelihoods. One, we only have 2.9 million hectares. The potential, the required deficit of 10.3 cubic meters of wood that we need requires us to do close to 1 million hectares. So we have an additional 1 million hectares to do. But at the same time, we need to ensure that the 80% of Kenyans that live under those areas that they live in have sufficient water for them to exist, for them to have food, for them to support their livelihoods in the best way possible. So this is a subject that we need to deal with soberly. Is a subject that we need to deal with, knowing that it is not about trees, it's not about furniture, it's not about all these other things that we mentioned. It is a national security subject. When we say that we are going to have authority, we have had an opportunity for all this, and I would want you to listen to this very carefully, because it's a very sensitive matter. It's very easy to be misconstrued, to be political. It could also be a misguidance by the advisors of the president for them to do this recommendation. When you say that you're going to do that, when are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? I've mentioned it up to times that you need a scientific process, they know.
To lift the logging
process.
To lift it or to implement it in the first place?
Way.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Because what gains have we had? We are still at 8 point something or 7 point something forest cover. When you say go ahead, what is it that has informed that process? There must be an environmental impact assessment. That is non-negotiable. You cannot, in anyone in their right minds, give authority or guide the president to do a logging lift of what had been done without an environmental impact assessment, because that is going to establish what and balance issues in a manner that livelihoods are around these areas, and we need to create job opportunities. The quotation that the Kenya Forest Service will keep referring to, and I appreciate, because it's a matter of justification of why you are doing this. And what they would say is that we have a logging management and we have regulations. The question is, when were these regulations?
What we know in the public domain so far is what the president said.
Yes.
And you've said this has to go through a scientific process for banning and for lifting a ban.
Yes.
So we so far don't have a scientific explanation to why then we're lifting the ban. All we know is that the president lifted the ban to allow the harvesting, and this is what he said, and I quote him, mature trees in forests across the country. The move, according to him and the statement that he made, is one, to promote local industries, meaning that you're creating then jobs. Then the second thing is reducing our dependence on imported furniture. And timber products. And so when he spoke about reopening of timber factories, and when he was speaking, this was in Elbagon, what he was essentially saying is we will then need, and he actually gave a direction that to the Trade Cabinet Secretary, Njeri, and said, look, we are going to end the importation of furniture from China from here henceforth. We're going to create our own here, our own beds, our own sofa sets and whatnot. So the emphasis then on the lifting of this ban from that statement sounds it's conditional, sounds it's only restricted to only mature trees. And for lay people, you'll stop to wonder, if you look at a tree, how you'll know then this tree is mature is there's a way you can look at the trunk, look at the roots, look at the branches and say, oh, this tree is very, very old. And you'll be told this tree is 100 years old. So what is a mature tree? Is it a 10-year-old tree, a 50-year-old tree? Then who will oversee that only mature trees are being cut down? Because we are in a cycle where the president said that, look, we're going to spend and plant how many trees?
15 billion.
Exactly. So then I look at these two things, and it's a contradiction. And so my question is, from what, in very many words, I've said, does this qualify to be a statement that has been that has gone through a scientific process? Because you earlier said there is nothing wrong with logging, so we rule that out. So then, if we restrict ourselves to what we now know in the public domain, how do we even interpret this?
Very good question and very well put. So first of all, let me repeat, I am not contradicting the statement of the president in no manner, because logging is fine to log. You cannot open a shop without having stock to sell. You can never start a business without knowing who your supplier is. The ban that was put in for logging, which I was part of, was a very scientific process. We went to different parts of the country. We put a report that really made sure, and it was clear, it was glaring, that there was no option but to do the banning. And I am so happy that it is the same president, when he was the deputy, that was leading this process. So I am not contradicting this. What I am talking about by scientific is that now that we had a scientific process to do that, his ban or lifting of the ban now needs to be backed by a scientific process. The scientific process needs to consider 80% of people are living around the water towers and their livelihoods are dependent on that. The trees that we are talking about are inside the forests, that we are talking about increasing the forest covers, and therefore we are talking about our rivers, which most Kenyans depend upon. We have facts that are scientific, that Kenya requires at least 51 million cubic meters of wood for it to be able to deal with all demands, including furniture, including everything that is needed. Kenya is currently producing 31 million cubic. Okay? So there is a total deficit, clearly, that is of 10 cubic. Where is that cubic meter? That is the opening of a shop without knowing where the stock is coming from. Because if you're getting it from the same forests, no, you're having a problem. And that is what I'm talking about. We need to create that. There is much, much more money. Much, much more money. Practical. That is around regeneration. Depending on the mean annual increment that we must be able to have as a country, that adds, and that the regeneration is coming through the employment opportunities. We are talking about forest management. We are talking about paying for ecosystem services. We are talking about enterprises around all this. As the trees regenerate, there is a lot of timber that can be used to create charcoal, because we must be able to check why is it that there is a lot of logging even when there is no ban. Because it's just official. Logging has been happening. Trucks are carrying timber. People are, even the management of the forest itself. It's only that Kenya Forest cannot come out to say the truth. They don't have enough people to manage the forests.
So logging is still happening?
Logging has been happening daily. Okay? And therefore, the scientific process we are talking about helps KFS themselves. So that we can have people, for example, if you just take the Tana River and all that, if Nairobi, which uses the water that comes from there, pays the people up in the central region, there will be so much money there. There will be so much water here. There will be better environment. There will be food that people can be able to plant, more than what is expected as business in these people. The people of Elbagon are suffering. Their livelihoods is around forests. Okay? And they have machinery and equipment that must be able to work. But where are we getting their trees from? That is the question.
So does the scientific process support the cutting down of mature trees? Because I want to understand.
Yes, of course.
It does.
Yes, of course.
So if the target is mature trees, it's fine.
Are they being produced at the farmlands of individual farmers so that they make money? In the way that you plant maize, these guys are just planting their trees, and they are getting sufficient money.
Or is it forests?
Or is it forests? The current trees, and why, in fact, the environmental impact assessment is so important, it's because this could be the last time, and we must make it the last time, that when we are logging in the places that we planted trees for harvesting, we have to remove those ones forever and only plant indigenous trees in those places. So the actual value of what is being logged is what we must be able to understand. And where is this money going to? The fact that these trees exist there, how much money can we get out of carbon credits vis-a-vis the logging, so that it is getting better for the common person on existing in that place? When you listen to KFS speak, and I appreciate them, they are doing a good job. They quote regulations that are archaic, unfortunately. Outdated, because they were done before the existence of the 2010 Constitution. They are subordinate to the Constitution. Public participation must be there. People must be able to understand why you are doing this. We must never forget what happened in some of our forests before, where forests were cleared within 1 month, within 2 years, and some of them are regenerating today.
Doc, we talk about trees in the country, and you've mentioned something in terms of financing that is key, and that is on carbon credits. And that would be one way of looking at how regeneration would be a part of getting financing other than logging trees to get money. That is a conversation in its own way. But then again, there are also fears that now that it has been opened, that we can get into, we can start logging, there is fear that if this is not regulated, indigenous trees as well might be cut down, because anyone who's in business will get in and seize a tree and bring it down. So in terms of having that scientific module that would guide how this is being done, and also ensuring that those who planted trees for business purposes as well are brought into this conversation, how do we go about it? Because one would expect that the president who's been pushing for 15 billion trees to be planted and grown is the same person who's pushing for these trees to be cut down. How do we balance the equation and ensure indigenous trees are not cut down, that there is a scientific process, that we explore other means of finance, including carbon credits and many other options?
I like your question. Thank you so much. And we must start looking at the business opportunities and livelihoods. I talked about balancing jobs and our rivers. Kenya continues to have fewer rivers. There is a time I was so serious in my studies and I was trying to understand how many rivers we have. They were getting close to 4,000 rivers, but they all get into only 50 main rivers on all this. Rivers are as important as the jobs that we are creating because they create even more jobs than what we can be able to do. Now, we need to start thinking, where is it? Because even the stories that you hear about eucalyptus trees being very bad, it's a story. And we all know that it's a story.
It's bad for the water table.
We need a lot of them. They need to be planted in the best places. But the discussion is more fueled by the demand of timber, which continues to diminish, as opposed to the issue of where they have been planted. So the notion, and it's an issue of communication that we need to really put through in the best way possible. So the imagination is that the eucalyptus tree is very bad and should never exist. In fact, people now hate it with a passion. But I want to take you to Kiambu Road. You know Kiambu Road, where the car businesses starts.
Yes.
You know that place.
Right.
The end of that forest, the Karura forest, you will see eucalyptus trees. They were mainly planted by Wangari Maathai herself during her time.
Yes.
And then she also moved on to talk about indigenous trees in that. Those trees still stand, some of them. Many have also been removed. The fights that you hear about forests and all this have been happening. This is the golden opportunity for us to start looking at the various people that are working in plantations. The farmers need to be able to see, you've been growing maize. How much money are you making out of maize? Can you do a plantation of eucalyptus? Can you do a plantation of pine? Can you do a plantation of this so that you can have more money and you can be able to see this? This is the time that we talk about communities coming together, pulling together, so that we can be able to attack the carbon credits. Carbon credits today, Kenyans don't even have a clue, most of them, about them. Because it is foreigners, it is cartels that are coming through to earn what you should be earning, and therefore people don't understand the need of trees. So balancing all this is a very easy affair. Creating enterprises. The charcoal business is a multi-billion US dollar business in Kenya and internationally. Where can we get the option of charcoal? It is in thinning the trees, creating opportunities, enterprises that you can create charcoal briquettes. You have balanced. People want to pay school fees. You go ahead and do things that are going to be able to bring them to do that using the forest and discussing this. Then moving out of this tree growing activities or planting activities where you go 300 cars and then you have planted trees, people, you left them without even telling them the importance of this. They go plucking the same trees that you planted because their business comes when the trees are being replanted.
Right.
So it's a serious discussion. It's not a joke. And we must come to the table together. Kenya Forest Service, National Environmental National Management. How can we all come together for common good of protecting the 80% of the people who are living around ecosystems? Not to reduce. Elbagon people can be given an opportunity, and we can even identify, because the so-called regulations for harvesting, there is a part E, part D, and part E that nobody talks about. There is even a bigger discretion to the director that he can choose where to do the harvesting and the logging from. How How do you do that without the Mwananchi being part of it? Those are the things that we are talking about, and we need to go with them in a very sober manner. The more we say that there is no logging, the more you find timber is being exported. The more you find perfumes are being created, factories are being fed by Kenyan suppliers, where the code for export is being changed. You go, you wonder, where was this sent to? These are trees that are high value. Where is our ebony tree today? Where are all these kind of trees? And you wonder. But you find that it is in management, it is in protection, it is in balancing the rivers and the jobs. So there is nothing wrong with the statement. It is just an issue. You have opened the shop.
In terms of managing it. Yeah. So, but I hear you that. So, did we politicize essentially what is necessarily, it needs to be seen then as a livelihood conversation? Number one is that I can see the sense in telling people, okay, well, we closed the thing down before, so you couldn't go in and, log. Based on what you're saying, people need to pay school fees. You'll find that they find money in the times when trees are being felled. They can get, money from that. But I can also see the sense in telling people, okay, fine, you can go back and start to log. But that we would often think that information is then the data that we use to make a decision about certain things. When they said that we're going to plant 15 billion trees over the next, 10 years or whatever the case may be, it would seem as though it was a solution to the environmental challenges that Kenya has. Do we see it as more than that? Or is it just that? And is it sustainable as that idea? When everybody, and I mean, look at what happens on Mazingira Day. Everybody gets out and I think they're doing their patriotic duty to plant a tree. But is it sustainable in terms of what Kenya needs for sustainability, for livelihood, for cover, as you say?
Do you know the 15 billion trees is the easiest to achieve? It is the easiest of all things to achieve in this nation. Easiest. And I have written on my articles umpteenth times. I have written it in my book on how it can be done. And it is about getting the people to be part of the story. Growing trees and increasing forest cover could be one of the biggest income earners to families, even the people of Elbagon, as they were being talked to. Because you can easily engage the people to simply forest, to simply age out, to simply fence areas, and trees will regenerate. And pay them. Pay them for doing that. They will do that. I have said it slightly, and I say it out of experience. Go to Mount Kenya. Money is earned by the local people when they are replacing trees. That is why they have a program that is called Shtua program. It is never written anywhere, but you plant your trees. Once they grow, after about 6-7 months, they come and pluck it out. The roots are broken, pin it back so that they are allowed to continue doing their vegetables, doing their plantations of the shamba system in that area, because when the trees grow, they will never have something.
Sounds like that's what should be taught at empowerment programs.
Yes, this is what I'm saying, that it is a communication issue, and we should really depoliticize matters of environment in this country, because this is a national security issue. Yeah, so you find people plaque so that the Kenya Forest Service and the government and anyone else, corporates, can come and pay the community to replant, to buy seedlings, to replant in those areas. Go to Masai. I'll give you another example. I've said it umpteen times. It's still happening. You call people in Narok. They are very good people. They carry salt in their pocket, uncouth people. And immediately you plant the tree seedling, they put the salt inside.
To kill it?
To kill it.
Why?
Because the next job is going to come when they are replanting trees.
And isn't that where the problem is? Because
that is the problem.
Because once you introduce the concept of incentivizing, when you are planting a tree, because I remember when I was in this is in like primary school going to high school, during the presidency of Daniel Moi. I remember we used to listen to radio programs back then. This was in the late 90s. We'd listen to radio programs, and in these programs, they were all about the environment, conservation. We watched videos countless times on KBC, and the president will be seen building gabions, building trees. We started growing up, we started planting trees when we were in primary school. And at the time, there was no idea that, please, it's almost like begging you, please go plant, we're going to give you some money. But today, we're talking about the same concept. The environment has not changed. The concept has not changed. Science has not changed. But you're telling somebody, please plant a tree. We're going to then pay you. Isn't that where the problem is? And I'm going to attach that to my next question, where, because I've seen disputes, the Karura forest, it's been in the news for the longest time, where we're looking at the Karura question represents a very fundamental issue, where who then is controlling natural resources around us? There is where there is a community-led conservation group that will say, okay, we're going to take care of this. We don't need to be incentivized. We're going to do this because we understand what this means to us. But then you have then again a government that then can decide to recentralize power back to, we are the ones who will make the decision on what we want to do here. So there's been that tiff. And now you are talking about what is happening in Narok, where people are putting salt to kill a tree because they're going to get money to plant. Is there a fundamental issue that we're dealing with here?
It's a very deep issue. And why I choose to talk about it here, because like the salt, just like the issue of the unplugging the tree, this is like underworld business. It's black market. It's never been documented. I have been able to say this, and I say it with firmness, because I deal with people who come to tell me, Kalua, we will only be paid when we are going to replant. We even send our own individual to go and talk to keep our Kenya Forest Service officer busy, so that he can remain on the upper side of the forest, because how do you have two people taking care of a 10,000 acre forest? So they will send somebody to get there and stay with them as they deal with the business they are dealing downstream. We have had situations where people are confessing what they did. I mean, you ask yourself, they know, how is it possible that a CFS, Community Forest Management Service institution, is at loggerheads with Kenya Forest Service itself, who have given them that authority? The money that is in this country by institutions of corporate nature, I have kept saying, how do you go declaring profits when you have not served the community that has given you the water to run the projects that you're doing, without dealing with the issues of pollution that you are dealing with? And you are here flashing very good and glossy profits and reports, annual or quarter profits, when you have not done that. The corporate doesn't even know where to plug themselves into, because there is confusion. CFS are fighting with KFS. KFS is fighting with NEMA. NEMA, because they are establishing a dam inside a forest because a politician passed by and said that this is where the dam should be. No environmental management, nothing has been done. Then on the other side, Kenya Water Towers has now been abolished. You also find now there are multiple myriads of non-government organizations that have been given funding on all this. You find that there are business people who are now getting a lot of money, billions, out of carbon credits. Ask yourself, why is there no order in this space? where 80% of Kenyans are looking forward to stay around.
For the people who lead, is there no understanding of what this can actually do economically and sustainably for the country?
It's a deliberate confusion that has been created so that there remains a loophole in this space.
To
so
steal?
That people, yes, to steal for corruption purposes, and even the institutions themselves don't even realize it. By the time they realize, they're told that you use this class E, use this class D, you also have authority, we are building a school, let us get money to build that school, instead of using this money to do that. Forests, meat is in a cattle. You get other opportunities that are just being opened so that corruption is happening. It has not just happened in this government. It has happened in many other governments previously. I have served in many other areas and also in governments that we have been able to work with. And you find the story is the same. It has reached a time that we must be able to do what we must do. Forget about the issue of votes. Forget about, because you are giving people more by ensuring. I said the other day, I tweeted and say that Kenya doesn't need more hospitals at the moment. What it needs are healthy ecosystems, because you will have people. We participated in an event just recently where we were graduating girls who have been trained on doing the environmentally friendly cook stoves and also on installing solar. And there was confession by women in a community saying that since we started doing this, we are going lesser to the hospitals because this has since been sorted. We don't have the issues that we used to have over our throat and all these respiratory issues. That is the direction that we need to be able. The discussion should not be even on SHA. We are talking about corruption in SHA. We are talking that SHA money. We should be dealing with things before we get to SHA. Because SHA will only deal with the symptoms and things that are happening, but the environment will be able to deal with much more. I know it sounds like cliche. I know it sounds unreasonable. But if we woke up every institution, every corporate institution to deal with these issues, that's money in the pocket of our people.
I mean, have we approached matters to do with environmental conservation, protecting trees, in a bad way? What do I mean? You remember the Mau forest matter and how the indigenous communities, the Ogiek, if you just read the word Ogiek, they're the protectors of flora and fauna, you know? And these are individuals who say, you are getting rid of us from a forest that we have protected over the years. It does exist because of us. Get rid of them, then you start hearing reports of logging happening in these forests because we've taken the indigenous communities out of it. How important is it that we approach this entire conversation from a participatory point where everyone is brought on board, hear what the Ogieks have to say on how we can protect this environment, on how we can thin these trees and use it as firewood, because that is what they have been doing, and we can see the results in terms of Mau being protected. Extrapolate that information to other areas and copy from good practices, other than politicizing this to get mileage, or politicize this because it is a global issue that looks sweet and there is money involved.
Let me bring it to this point, first of all. The biggest sufferer ahead of any elections since independence has been the forests. Silent. Just before the forests, before the elections, licenses are issued left, right, and center. Mills for harvesting and for creating timber, they come up in a way that you have never seen. This is not now, it has been happening all the years. I remember, and why I am also passionate about the issue of Shimba Hills. I was there, a minister in charge of forestry then, saying that they have now to come to harvest the trees that had been planted by KFS. And KFS is here crying. in my presence, saying that this, KWS, saying that this has since become a habitat. The fact that now it is a gazetted national wildlife space does not protect that space. Why is it that people find that it is easy to make money with all? We all have issues, and we must get a sustainable approach to do all these things. And I thank God for the president and the government for honoring me the other day as a national hero. For due to the Plant Your Age campaign. We need to educate our people so that they own the process and they drive it for themselves. Ownership is what has been lacking. Plant Your Age. Imagine when we started it, the first one was actually planted by President Ruto. Then he was minister, and together with other friends of his and ministers, they planted 71 trees for Wangari. It went like wildfire in the Hamatan, and soon there were 15 million trees planted within less than a year. Then it grew to the Plant Your Age campaign. If we educated our people. Simple. You're 35 years of age. Plant. Ensure that they grow. And you're paid because there is a value for that. Where is that money going to come? Easy. By the way, this world has got so much money for the green space. So much, you won't believe it. And I'm going to demonstrate it very soon with the Green Africa villages. So much money meant for that. No politics, to ensure that this country grows in the best way possible. If people manage this, you can imagine even the projects that have been announced that they are going to happen very big. Just because of mismanagement, the international community, the American government, all these other people, they withdraw them because there is lack of seriousness. UN is here. And you can imagine, as the leader and the global center for all this, let us drive this process passionately, not demeaning any life, and ensuring that people understand education in school. If you only pick that project of planting trees equivalent to your age, that you can be able to know where they are. Go to places that you have planted trees. People don't even know how to plant a tree successfully. True. I have done it on video for people to understand. Everywhere I go to plant trees and grow trees, I find that I did not tell these people. It needs to be a national campaign. And I like the media for the way that they have been taking this. Corporate institutions need to drive the message so that they can attach. If you're a bank and you have 5 million customers, get to plant trees equivalent to their age. You plant some, they plant some. It's a community space. I like what KFS was doing the other day, that they have 100 acres or 500 acres, whatever number, and therefore they are calling corporates to come and do that. That can be done very sustainably, and there is money globally, a lot of money that is unbelievable, that can be used if we are serious and if community is linked to this. The problem is that the money gets lost in between. Yes. You think that it's going to reach the people, yet it is lining up pockets for a few people. Yet there is enough for everyone that we can be able to have.
My goodness, there is. And this is not just by the way roadside conversation. It's an intellectual one. It's a sustainable one. It's lifeline for people, for Kenya. Dr. Isaac Green, thank you for joining us this morning.
Time is gone.
Imagine.
Okay.
But like we said, it's a sustainable conversation, so it cannot be a flash in the pan conversation. It's one that must continue. If education is going to continue, it cannot be one conversation. That's why we do what we do. Thank you for joining us to be able to do that this morning.
Keep up the good work.
Asante sana, sir.
Even if you're listening to yourself. God is seeing. You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for keeping it part of Kenya's biggest conversation this Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your listening, and we'll talk again soon. It's 1 minute past 10.
Around the world, 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. President William Ruto says his administration is empowering Kenyans in the diaspora to thrive and contribute to national growth. Writing on X, Ruto said the government has streamlined diaspora services by reducing passport processing time from 3 months to just 3 days for those with job offers and facilitating their travel to take up these opportunities. Ruto noted that Kenyan migrant workers can only be deployed to countries with formal